Boys in the back. Boys.
What is good? We are back with another edition of the Boys in the Back. This time on a special Tuesday. Ariel is roaming around the world. I don't know where he's at. Miami.
Somewhere.
Montreal. He's out enjoying the fruits of his labor. But not us. We're here in the studio here to get you ready for WrestleMania weekend, recap UFC 314. And on this special Tuesday, you see the war hat, the 40th anniversary edition. Mr. New York Rick rocking it.
Shout out to our friends at Top Rank for sending us these. But yeah, 40th anniversary of
Hagler Hearns.
Incredible fight. First round, magical. If you have not seen it, see it. I could try to describe it.
We talked all about it. I still haven't seen it. Today's the day. I've been holding out for it.
It's not a long watch. I'm telling you. Like you'll get through it, and it's tremendous. If you have not seen it, see it. One of the all-time fights, an iconic round in boxing history.
Shout out to our friends at Top Rank. We unfortunately today start the show with the sad news of the passing of Marvin Vettori's brother, just 29 years old, Patrick, who lost his life in a fire in his house last night. Incredibly sad story. Our hearts and prayers go out to Patrick, to Marvin, to the entire Vettori family. Just awful news that you never want to hear. And a guy who was obviously Marvin's younger brother that meant a lot to him. So very, very tragic news that we hate to have to bring up.
Yeah, a touching message that he posted on his own Instagram account. Have to imagine that the family's going through it right now. Lots of love and support from the MMA community, which is nice to see. And support Marvin Vettori right now and his family because he needs it.
Absolutely, man. And obviously difficult to transition from such a story of that magnitude, but other news today in the world of MMA. The exclusive negotiation window with ESPN for the UFC has ended. So now the UFC is free to go and talk to Amazon's, Netflix, Peacock's, whatever streaming services around the world. And this has massive implications. I don't think it's a surprise that we made it through the exclusive negotiation window. I think they knew that they were going to talk to other companies, but now that it's here, it's like, man, this is going to have massive implications on how we watch this sport in the future. Yeah,
we're going to truly see like what the broadcast rights for the UFC are worth. We have a quote here from John Arand, who works at Puck News. It's too early to gauge how much interest is out there, but UFC would never let ESPN's exclusive window expire if its executives weren't confident there would be multiple other suitors. Let's stop down there for a second. There's no doubt that there will be other suitors. This was never going to get done in the exclusive negotiation period with ESPN, unless ESPN basically bought the whole thing. Like, there is no way that the UFC was not going to see what else was out there. Let's go back to that quote for a second. Just want to finish. Amazon and Netflix for two are expected to take meetings almost right away. So that's John Oran reporting that Amazon and Netflix are already two that are lined up to take this meeting. Today, the rights ended. Could be as soon as today. Could be in the next few days. They've got time until I believe the ESPN deal goes to the end of the year. So they've got time to arrange this, and I imagine they're going to be meeting with everybody. And I don't think it's Amazon, Netflix, ESPN, Apple. I'm sure it's those, but I'm sure it's also if you're a platform like Twitch, if you're YouTube, if you're somebody, you at least have to like have a conversation and figure out if this premium product that you could get on your platform is going to be something that can drive users. And we've seen the UFC be a great driver for ESPN Plus already. I imagine that they're having conversations with some that we know, some that we haven't even thought about that would be in play for this.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Power Slap, I know it's nowhere near the same level as the UFC, but the fact that they had that exclusive deal with Rumble for a while, and then on the other end of that, as big as Netflix, now that they're under TKO, I watched Raw last night on Netflix, and like the seamlessness which you can get on the app. You're immediately watching it. There were no streaming issues. It's just like you're watching it on TV. The success that they've had with Netflix, they have the deal with Peacock, obviously the ESPN's past relationships with the UFC. It's going to be fascinating to watch, man, and I'm very curious as if it's just going to be one streamer, if it's going to be a magnitude of them. Are we still going to do pay-per-views? Are we still going to be doing 42 to 45 events a year? I think it's very interesting for the future, not only of how we watch the sport, but the sport in general.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going into these negotiations in terms of if they have a strategic vision for it, which is like, hey, we want to still do pay-per-views, so we're going to do pay-per-views here. We're offering these rights up, and we want to do fight nights here. Or if they're going carte blanche, tabla rasa, whatever the best offer is, we will take it. If Netflix goes, and I've long thought Netflix might be the best home for it, even prior to WWE and TKO doing a deal for the wrestling, that a Netflix product where they paid enough for the rights that it would no longer be behind a paywall for pay-per-views and it would just be a premium product within the Netflix app could be a very appealing thing for both MMA fans and that huge base of people who already have Netflix and have it for streaming movies and television and all those other things, to then get it introduced to the best version of UFC and potentially become fans. So I've always thought that was very harmonious. That said, the price tag to get the UFC to stop doing pay-per-view would be extremely high.
I wonder what it really would be. Like if you think about, they do 14 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah.
How much money are they making off?
Well, you have to imagine if they're 60 a pop and they're doing, let's say, 300 to 500K, that's a lot of money on the table. Now, obviously, from that, you have to pay your site fees, your production, your athletes, all those things. It's not like the fight nights make a lot of money. They as they announce every single time they go to a new venue, they've set a new domestic record for a fight night. They're making a lot of money in terms
gates,
of that.
Though, not in terms
That's
of like
just
streaming.
the gates, but a lot of the production and the things that are going into into those events, you do have to reinvest in the business, and those have costs. The costs will be most offset by pay-per-views, not by fight nights, right? Fight nights are UFC is probably making quite a decent profit on those fight nights, but the majority of that money that's going to get you through the rest of the year and pay the dividends to investors and pay the executives and all those things are being made when you have the big product and you're selling the pay-per-view. So that supports the ecosystem. And if you are trying to take that away, if you are trying to say, we're not going to sell it at this price with this amount of expected buys, and we just want it to be available to everybody, it's going to come with a hefty cost.
I mean, what do we think that is? 10 million?
10 million per pay-per-view?
No. If it's, I guess, yeah, I forgot. Pay-per-view buys multiplied by 60. So, by 80, because it's $80.
$80.
Now. So, I mean, like, per pay-per-view, they're making Lord knows how much, like somewhere in the $5 to $10 million range.
If not more, yeah.
So, you're talking about like $100 million a year for like Netflix to cough up to go no pay-per-views?
I think north of that, because the product,
million?
Yeah, I think even more than that probably, because the byproduct. Also, remember that they're doing those in those massive cities and getting the gate on top of that. Like, the actual business that a pay-per-view does is probably massive, including those broadcast rights. It's going to cost a lot.
Change it from like a pay-per-view to a numbered event.
That's it. They just become UFC 314 is on Netflix. UFC 315 is on Netflix. It's no longer called pay-per-view traditionally.
But I mean, let's say like $250 million from Netflix, and then they get all the numbered events on their streaming service, and now the fans don't have to pay $80 per.
Yeah, and then you add that on top of the billion-ish per year that you want to pay for having all the fight nights and maybe Dana White's Contender Series and all those things. They're looking at a nice little to me, cost.
I feel like it would be best to obviously
purchase the whole thing.
They make so much money. Well, I was gonna say I feel like it would be best to, like, if we could chop it down to like 33 events a year and fans don't have to pay for pay-per-views. I feel like the interest in the sport would rise.
I would love that. The problem is, if you're Netflix or if you're anybody, we keep using Netflix as if it's like fait accompli. I don't think it is. I imagine ultimately this pie will be split up. I don't think we will get the loss of pay-per-view. If you're Amazon, if you're Netflix, if you're anybody, your business model as those streamers now is advertising. We're seeing the ad-supported models. A lot of people are still in those subscription packages and have the ad-supported. The amount that you can charge for those ads, those interstitials that are coming in the content, are how you're making a lot of revenue. A lot of Amazon's profits now is less on the consumer product side and a lot more in advertising on Monday Night Football and all those other potential products. So if you cut down to 33 events, you're now giving up 10 to 15 that could have had advertising running throughout, commercials and things running throughout. So it's a hefty loss if you just took this in and then you go, we're going to give up 15 of those.
Yeah. I mean, I don't foresee them doing that. I'm just like, in my ideology in my head of like how to gain interest back into the
best
sport.
Product would be a 30-something.
Where we kind of crave the fight nights a little bit more. The quality of the cards continue to go up. We just completely like, what if Netflix just came in and they were like, no more Apex?
What if, look, maybe I'm too pessimistic, or maybe I'm looking at this too glass half full. I just think anybody who's going to do this deal is looking to make money, is knowing that the UFC is going to be a profitable business for them because they have this so dialed in. And so I can't foresee them going, we want to give a better consumer experience in contrast to making more money. I don't think they'll forego those dollars to create a better experience. But as I'm saying, maybe I am being pessimistic. Maybe there is somebody out there. Maybe there is an entity that's like, we want to make the best possible user experience, make a lot of money, not as much money, but make a lot of money, and be able to then build the sport, grow the fan base, and then maybe invest long term. I mean, it's pie in the sky, but it's not impossible.
I'm very curious to see what happens. One last thing on it that I'm very curious about, because UFC fans obviously already have to pay a decent amount of money just to be fans as it is.
It's expensive.
We've seen TKO with the WWE. I believe WrestleMania is going to be on Peacock this weekend. Raw is on Netflix. They have other series on CW and linear television. I'm wondering if there's a chance that the UFC has the pay-per-views on one thing, the fight nights on another, the Apex events on another.
I think that's where this will end up, because to have the whole package is going to be such an expensive cost for one entity to have. And in addition to that, when you split up the pie, I think you can create a bit of a bidding war between all of them, where you can extract the most value for each of the individual properties. Like, the price might inflate by 10 to 20% just by the fact that you're splitting it up, because, oh, they have a piece of it, I want this piece of it, and I want this piece of it, and then you can kind of just drive up the price. Whereas if you're negotiating with one person, the price is going to be the price. You got one number that you can land on. With each, you can kind of push that upward. Hey, we're getting this from them for this amount. If you want this thing that's even better, then you got to pay more, and you can kind of use those tactics. Ultimately, I think that's where it will be. One, just because the cost of the entire UFC pie at this point, Dana White came out and said they're looking for $1 billion per year. That makes a lot of sense to me. For somebody to put $1 billion a year down, you have to be a major player, and you also have to like re-strategize your entire format from what other things you've been investing in. It would make a lot more sense if somebody goes, oh, we could put 250 and then have this, and it's only a part of it, and somebody else to go, oh, I got 100 for the Apex shows, I got this for that. I think it will ultimately go that way.
It is going to be fascinating to watch. I'm very curious to see where it all ends up. But we'll find that out over the course of the next weeks, months, year, however long it takes for this negotiation.
I think we'll know. I mean, somebody, if
I saw one tweet today that was like they could be meeting as soon as today. Like with
they're definitely going to be meeting ASAP. But if Josh or Frank or somebody in the back can look this up when the actual deal ends with ESPN, I think it's the end of the year. They've got time, but I think we'll know. Like with shout out Frank. How you doing, by the way, Frank?
I'm doing terrific. Thanks for asking.
I mean, sometimes we just run into the show and we forget about you, man. I didn't say one half of the boys in the back today. I know you've been upset about that.
Super upset. Well, a third.
Wait, super upset that he didn't say it?
Yeah.
No, he's been super upset about one half of the boys.
Please carry on.
You are on the logo, man. We're sorry for the
look that up for us if you can. But what I was going to say was, with WWE, they knew in advance, like before the deal was up for them to go to like the Netflix deal that starts in 2026 for WWE to be in the US, that's already been negotiated. So they might have this in place 3 months from now. It could go down to the wire depending on how the negotiations go. I think we'll know relatively soon, because I think this is one of the last sports properties that seems up for grabs, right? Like all the other rights are kind of locked up for quite a while. This is the one that's out there that everybody can just go, okay, we got to focus in on this. NBA just got theirs. NFL's got new ones that just split up the pie. I think there's going to be a rush for UFC.
Sounds like they have until the end of the calendar year.
There you go. So end of the calendar year.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. What do you think, Frank? Crunchyroll UFC pay-per-views?
I'm here for it. No, what I'm afraid of, and I was just talking about this offline, is that there's these deals where it's like, oh, you have Disney Plus, but then you need Hulu to unlock this piece of content that you want. And
yeah.
I mean, I know this doesn't really pertain to the UFC's deal,
but it could.
It could.
That was my point.
Whole, like, onion layer after layer, or what we were talking about, different products being on different streaming services. Like the NFL does that as well, and it's like it just gets annoying. Like we've come full circle to where we're basically
cable.
back on cables.
Yeah. I mean, with the NFL, you have to have a like premium cable subscription because you need ESPN, Fox, CBS. You need Prime for Thursday Night Football. And I think they do some exclusive games on Peacock as well.
Yeah, there's to Frank's point, the pie got cut up, and then everybody went, well, no, I don't want to have to go to this for this and this for this and this for this. I just want to go to one place.
Yeah.
And that's cable. And then you go to cable, but you have to have the little ancillary subscriptions as opposed to just the main subscription. It can apply to the UFC, especially if they do remain with ESPN in any capacity. For one, Frank, what you're talking about in terms of Hulu, that is a Disney property. And so that goes... I imagine there will be UFC like in the ESPN tile, in the Disney Plus tile, whatever those main kind of things are, there will be those UFC properties where you have to have Plus. ESPN is launching their direct-to-consumer app. Like soon, ESPN is not only going to be through cable packages, the broadcast channel, you're going to be able to get direct-to-consumer ESPN. That's like their big venture that's coming up. And in that, if you don't have Plus, you're going to need Plus to access the UFC content that's within that. And so... this is all coalescing to the cable package as Frank kind of outlined, but it will have an impact. If UFC is when you pop open Disney Plus and it's like, oh, there's a fight night on ESPN Plus, and I have that, it's a powerful thing to be able to access all those various different fan bases that used to be just for the Disney folks or used to be just for the people with Hulu. Now it's like crossing those streams.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, Dana White always says it. He's like, you wouldn't believe how powerful it is to just be in the bottom right corner of the ESPN bottom line, and it says whatever the fight night is, whatever the pay-per-view is, order now. How many eyes and how much legitimacy that gives you as an organization.
100%.
Yeah, the only thing I hate about these streaming services, man, they just keep cranking the prices up.
Prices are
I
going
remember
up.
when ESPN Plus came out, it was like $4.99 a month, and I think it's $11.99 last time I checked.
Yeah. How else are they going to have those billions to pay the UFC? They gotta
keep them going up. They gotta keep them going up. We will keep a close eye on that, though. That is going to be, like I said, fascinating to watch over the next weeks and months to see where they end up and how much money they're able to get from this. I imagine it is going to be a pretty penny.
Super chat us if you have some thoughts on where it's going to end up, what it's going to be. Send us some super chats. We're going to read super chats at the end of the show, and don't forget
Play your
about
voicemails
the
too.
hotline. We're gonna play some voicemails today, but if you want to get one in for when we come back next week, this is the number to call: 415-SUP-BITB. So
they were gold last week.
I had a chance to preview some today.
I actually like
good.
you and Frankie being the clearing service, so I can just listen to them blind when we're on the show.
There's some pretty good ones today too. So keep raising the bar, and we'll play the ones from last week at the end of the show.
All right, so this past weekend, obviously in Miami, UFC 314 took place. Alexander Volkanovski gets the belt back in a decision victory over Diego Lopez, which kind of got us talking, 36 years old, gets the belt back, 7 wins in championship bouts of the featherweight division for Alexander Volkanovski. And so he said, who is the featherweight GOAT? Did this change your opinion on Saturday? And in my opinion, I think featherweight is the most interesting division in terms of who is the GOAT in that division, just because of the quality of the champions that we've seen. We've only seen 5. We've only seen 5. Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Jose Aldo, Ilia Topuria, and Conor McGregor.
Those are pretty good names.
Those are pretty friggin' good names.
Some of the best in the sport, period.
So I think if we're going to have this discussion, if we're going to have this debate on who the featherweight GOAT is, we have to go ahead and just make it, those are the 5 candidates.
There's only 5, but I mean, if it was not one of those 5, if somebody came to me and was like, I have a featherweight GOAT, and it's not one of those 5, I don't think it's a real combo. So
Voyev.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. I agree with that.
Okay.
I also want to further set terms.
Okay.
When we say GOAT, it's important that we understand what GOAT is. Okay. Because there's different ways to approach this, and I've long had this conversation. I feel like this applies to people's conversations around pound for pound, people's conversations around GOAT, other sports conversations around MVP. People don't come to it from the same terms. As an example, in football or basketball, the most valuable player might not be the best player on the winningest team, right? Like, Nikola Jokic might be more valuable to the Nuggets. They might suffer more if he was not there than, let's say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who might win the MVP this year. He's an amazing player, but the best player on a great team. Jokic is on a worse team, but if you take him off that team, do they get hurt more than if you take Shai off? So that's one area where I'm pointing out, like, MVP is kind of subjective. You have to agree to the terms. What I'm operating under, when we say GOAT, I'm talking resume. I'm talking accomplishments. I'm not talking who is the best fighter, right?
Correct.
I'm not talking at their apex, at their peak, who was the best fighter, because I think it's actually different. And we can get to like who we ultimately land on.
I think so too.
I think it's different people. And so we're talking greatness. We're talking when you look at the resume on paper, when you look at what they did at the time that they did it, they stand above the others. And if we can agree on that, I'm ready for the convo.
Will we agree on it? I'm not sure.
No, I don't mean the person. I mean on those terms.
Okay, I agree. I agree on this terms.
Okay.
I agree on the terms. And from that, I think we have to immediately eliminate Conor McGregor off the top. 0 title defenses, obviously won the interim and then won the belt. Incredible career, massive impact, undefeated at featherweight, but I just think the depth of resume doesn't stand up to the other guys in this conversation.
I agree with you. His most significant stuff came outside the featherweight weight class. Now, certainly, featherweight got him to the prominence, right? The Jose Aldo win was the capper for a featherweight run that was historic, legendary. I didn't think would be topped. I think Ilia Topuria kind of almost approached it. At the time, though, I don't think it still compares. It's just a little bit short, in my opinion, Ilia's featherweight run. But Conor's run was magical. But the fame, the accolades, the double champ status, it all came once he left that division. That was just kind of the catapult. The biggest things for Conor McGregor happened after he left featherweight.
And so you can see here by the graphic, title fight record includes interim title fights. Record versus GOATs, meaning versus Alexander Volkanovski, Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, Ilia Topuria.
The other four.
So the other four in your featherweight.
Yep.
Because obviously they're intertwined.
Yep.
All of them have at least 2 fights against the other.
Kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
It's spanning the generations, but then like the next guy had fought the 2 before, like a fight or 2 against the guy before, and then a fight or 2 against the guy after.
Well, what's crazy is that I guess you can't really consider him active because we haven't seen Conor McGregor since 2021, but all of these guys are still active fighters.
Yeah.
And like near the top of their game. Like they're all ranked. Volk, Aldo, Holloway, and Topuria are either champions or ranked still, which is just incredible for how long that they've been fighting, which just shows the quality of the champions 100%. In this division.
That's a great one.
All right. Who do we tackle next? Ilya?
All right. So we're eliminating Conor, but okay, let me ask then. Was his the highest peak? Was his the best apex?
I mean, the 13-second Aldo.
13-second Aldo is that the best win on anybody's resume in this conversation?
What was Aldo's win streak at that point? He was like 24 or 25 and 1 as a professional. I think he had already racked up 7 UFC title defenses after 3 in WEC. Like his resume was unbelievable to this point. Like hadn't lost in like a decade.
So
and then Conor McGregor put him out in 13 seconds.
The last time he lost was his 8th fight before that. And then that was his 27th fight. So he was on an 18 or 19 fight win streak at that.
So that happened in December of 2015. He had not lost since November of 2005.
Yeah, so a decade of dominance.
A decade of dominance where he became champion in WEC, won 3 title fights in WEC, and then 7 straight title fight wins to start out his UFC.
For my money, that's one of the best wins in MMA history and the best of this group, in my opinion.
And just like how iconic it was, how much impact it had on the sporting world.
And it would be easy in hindsight to be like, that was the end of Jose Aldo. But to your point, Jose Aldo's still out there doing it. That was not the end of Jose Aldo. That was the halfway mark of his career. So it wouldn't be fair to just be like, to me, that was one of the best versions of Jose Aldo. Now, granted, that matchup, he rushed in. Conor McGregor caught him with the left hand somehow.
Dominic Reyes-esque.
Dominic Reyes-esque.
Stepping back, left hand.
But I think that was not a diminished version of Jose Aldo. I think that was still a championship-level great Jose Aldo, and Conor McGregor was untouchable at that time. So, to me, the best win. And the other thing, when you dug deep on these stats, no losses to the other competitors, which is an interesting...
A win over Max Holloway and a win over Jose Aldo.
A win over Jose and a win over Max, and no losses to the others.
And no losses at featherweight in the UFC either.
And no losses at featherweight. So he has this like pristine featherweight run, but it's not... To me, the longevity matters, and he didn't have it long enough. That's where I ultimately land. But God, that run was sick.
Okay, well, that takes us to Ilia Topuria.
Okay, let's do Ilia.
Which is like very similar in the case
very
that
similar.
like, God, it was unbelievable. And the highest of highs, knocking out Alexander Volkanovski, who is on this list, knocking out Max Holloway, being the first to knock out Max Holloway, who is also on this list. He also went 7-0 as a featherweight. He did get a title defense, obviously, against Max Holloway in October. But like 2-0 in title fights, 2-0 against the GOAT, 7-0.
Is the look to Conor. It's like
I think the only difference, if you count Conor's interim and then his featherweight victory, he is 2-0 in featherweight title fights, 2-0 versus the other GOAT, 7-0 at featherweight. He just doesn't have any title defenses.
Yeah. It's
eerily similar.
It's eerie.
And like to be winning these fights by finishes as well, and like obviously the similar styles,
even down
of Ilia and Conor, the way they present themselves, the chest tattoos, the boxing styles, knocking people out, like it really is eerily similar.
Even down to now I'm leaving after all this success. Now I'm leaving to go to lightweight.
Also, like putting Irish MMA on the map, Ilia Topuria putting Spanish MMA on the map, like it really is. It's quite crazy.
There have been many that were anointed like the next Conor. Could they be the next Conor? Could they? This guy's gotten as close as anybody's gotten, period.
Absolutely. As close as anyone has come, not just with the performances, but with the star power outside of the octagon. Going to Real Madrid. I think I saw him going to a local or a regional Spanish MMA with the president of Spain. Like, it's just like the star power that this guy commands is crazy. And I'm excited to see what he has left in his career. But I think the fact that the featherweight reign was cut so short kind of takes him out of this conversation as well in terms of resume.
I don't think
the peak is.
I don't think he right now can be in this conversation for the same reasons we said for Conor. It is not long enough. It is not long enough. But would you be shocked if later in his career maybe he finds himself back at featherweight and all of a sudden we do have to re-examine this conversation? Because I would not.
All right, so I'm curious. Because I think the fact that he's leaving and the fact that he was like, it's getting difficult for me to cut this weight means he likely will not be back. And I actually believe, unless I'm mistaken, the McGregor-Aldo fight in December of 2015 was McGregor's final fight at featherweight.
Oh, it definitely was. And Conor's only got, like, he looks like a middleweight at this point.
He might be a light heavyweight at this point. I mean, he is absolutely gigantic. So I could see Topuria, the last one, being against Holloway.
Here's my potential pushback against that. It's likely. I would not guess that he ends up back here. But if you ultimately don't find success at lightweight, where else do you go? If you don't find success at lightweight, he is not a 170. He is criminally under. He would not be able to make it to 170.
Okay, so it's interesting that you say that because I believe it was Habib came out and he was talking about the potential of Ilia versus Islam at 155, obviously for the belt. And he was like, Islam doesn't really want to fight Ilia because what if he just beats Ilia and then Ilia loses in his second fight at lightweight and now he's just a nobody at 155. He was a great 145er, but he was a nobody at 155. And if that actually happened, then it does make you wonder, like, okay, where does Ilia go from here? He's 0-2 at lightweight. He tried the title, he lost, and then he tried a contender fight, and he lost as well. Are you forced to go back to 145 at that point?
I think he would be. I think because, as I said, if you're not finding success at lightweight, where I think these guys are going to be a little bigger than maybe Ilia Topuria is ready for, 45 is the only option. The other thing I'll say is, when you're the man, when you're untouchable, when you're Ilia Topuria, that weight cut's going to be hard because you have your fingers in all these different pots, you're doing all these things, and the weight cut becomes something that's like the necessary evil to get there. When you're on maybe a 2-fight skid at lightweight, I promise you that weight cut gets a little easier because you're a little more dialed in. You're a little more desperate to get to where you need for success. Jose Aldo was notoriously like this big, bulky featherweight. And then years later, he's at bantamweight. Everybody's like...
Well, then he lost to Volk, and then it was like, 135 doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, everybody's like, Jose Aldo to bantamweight. This guy was struggling to make 45.
That's an interesting point.
So when you hit adversity, all of a sudden that weight cut that seemed impossible, but when you were the man and you were thinking about this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, it becomes a little easier because you get locked in because your path to success is now dependent upon making that weight again.
Okay, so let's say he does go up, he fights Islam, he loses, then he fights like a Patty, a Charles, someone like that, and he loses as well, and then he goes back to 145. If we're only speaking featherweight, we just erase the 155 and see what he does back at 145.
We're talking featherweight GOAT for the purposes of this convo right now. I think that hurts his overall, like, Where does he rank as an all-time great legacy, right? Because now you've got the same as we'll talk about Alexander Volkanovski. I think that hurts his all-time resume. But when it comes to the featherweight conversation, he picks up right where he left off for me. But right now, standing here, the seven wins, it is not enough to eclipse the names that are ahead of him.
Okay. Let's move to the man that he just most recently beat. Let's move to Max Holloway. I mean,
this one's tasty.
An icon of 145. It is tasty for several reasons. 3 title defenses for him. He is 5-4 in title fights. That's including interim. Record versus GOATs, though, he's 2-5, obviously because he lost the 3 to Volkanovski. He lost 1 to Topuria, and he lost 1 to McGregor. The 2 wins being when he finished Jose Aldo in both those. But here's the key. UFC record at featherweight, 20-7. That means he holds the record for the most wins at featherweight with 20. He holds the record for the most finishes at featherweight with 11. And he has the longest featherweight win streak at 13.
Yeah.
All of those in UFC history. His resume is unbelievable.
His accumulation stats are mind-boggling.
Like, and then on top of that, not only in UFC history, but in featherweight history, the most significant strikes by the widest margin you could imagine. He almost doubles up Volkanovski.
I don't think that somebody at featherweight is going to come along and top. Like that is he's entering that, like when we had a recent question on the nose about like what are some untouchable goals. If Max keeps doing this for a little bit longer, some of those like strike accumulation resumes are going to be out of reach of anybody realistically, because of how early he got in and because of the pace he set. Because even if you come in as young as he does, let's say like Raul Rosas Jr., right? Do you fight like Max Holloway? Because if you don't put up 500 significant strikes every time you're out there, you're not going to get that record. And so that becomes almost like a ghost that I don't know if anybody's going to be able to chase down.
It would honestly be concerning for that person's health if they were able to chase it down, because he came into the UFC for his 5th professional fight at 20 years old.
Yeah.
And just started slugging it out with people from the jump.
And the chin and the toughness and the durability carried him through to be able to do that style for so long. So that feels like an untouchable record. He has all those accumulation stats. He has all the biggest thing that you can point to that will detract from Max Holloway's resume when we have this featherweight conversation is 3 losses to Volk is very hard to erase. 3 losses to a guy who is also in this conversation makes it very difficult to go.
I think it makes it insurmountable. I think he has such an unbelievable resume. He is such an unbelievable fighter. The things he's done at 145 is truly insane. But you can't be the GOAT if you're 0-3 against the guy who is also in the conversation. 0-3, the dude shared the octagon with him for 75 minutes.
I'm going to stand on the corner of not impossible, but very difficult. And for a specific reason that will come up later when we continue this conversation, I'm going to stand with there is a way to do it, but it is very hard to overlook the 3 losses to Alexander Volkanovski. And then you add on the loss to Ilia Topuria as well. Now it really like hurts your talk in this conversation. If you talk about though, like who was probably the one who is the most recognizable featherweight champion, it probably was Max in that era, right? Like the one that if you were talking to a casual fan, they might know Max's name above some of the. We're discounting Conor in this conversation because Conor's number 1 in every like,
of course,
recognizability metric. But the non-Conor McGregor guys, Max is probably like one of the fan favorite guys that even casual fans.
Star power, puts on
Max
fun
Holloway
fights in massive fights, champion several times over. Yeah, I mean, star power for sure.
The only moment I talked about Conor's knockout of Aldo as one of the most iconic best ever. Max Holloway has some of those as well. The pointing to the ground.
155.
Now, Justin Gaethje knockout is at 155. I meant the Lamas, the original.
The OG, the OG. Yes.
That's the moment. But the teaching Brian Ortega to strike, I'm the best boxer in the UFC mid Calvin Kattar fight. Like the guy's got
when
some
he put
bangers.
up like 450 significant strikes in that fight, like that's like an untouchable record. Like no one is ever going to come close to that. It's the most insane thing ever.
He's reached some peaks. He's done some things that you have to recognize Max Holloway. You have to bow to Max Holloway and be like, this guy did some incredible things at featherweight. But I'm ultimately with you that I think he falls short to the
of the
next
GOAT
two.
conversation. I mean, inarguably, like if you're making a Mount Rushmore of featherweight, he has to be on there. Like,
I mean, these
don't care how you
5
do it.
guys, like,
It's unreal.
almost all have to be on there.
I know, but you have
It's-
to drop one.
I
Max
don't
Holloway
know.
is not one of them.
I don't
Max
know.
Holloway is not one of them. All right, let's go to another guy who, to me, I think this is a 2-horse race right now.
Agreed. I have 2 in the race.
Let's go with the old guard, Jose Aldo.
Okay.
Resume, absolutely insane. 9 title defenses, that's if you're including WEC, 7 in the UFC, 2 in WEC. Obviously, when the merger happened between UFC and WEC, he just immediately became featherweight champ and just started racking up title defenses. Title fight record, 8-3 in the UFC, 3-0 in WEC. 18-4 record at featherweight in UFC and WEC. Now, the one damning part of this whole resume, the one damning thing, lost to Conor McGregor, 2 losses to Max Holloway, lost to Alexander Volkanovski, and in those first 3 I mentioned, he was finished in all of them.
It's damning, but this is why I remained on the corner when it came to the Max Holloway conversation, because despite those losses, I still believe Jose Aldo is the featherweight GOAT. And the case for it is those 9 title defenses, is the decade of dominance, that run that he went on, I think is the most definitive case for greatness that we have in anybody's resume. Certainly, I think Alexander Volkanovski, and we'll talk all about him as the next part of this, has done some incredible things and is making the most of a dent in that run that Jose Aldo, the record of title defenses that Jose Aldo has, that anybody has made, right? Conor had none, Ilya had 1, Max had 3, I think. And so Volk is the closest in terms of that. But to be at 9, and not only 9, but 9 consecutive, right? Volkanovski is going to have to do it in 2 stints because he lost to Ilya Topuria. So if he does it, it's not going to be consecutive, right? In the way that Jose Aldo's were. That decade of dominance, I think, is now kind of like lost to history because a lot of people don't even know. Like, there's probably a lot of UFC fans that don't even know what WEC is. Knowing that WEC was UFC equivalent, right? Knowing that for the lighter weight classes, that was UFC. That was the pinnacle. That was the peak. The guys like Uriah Faber that were in that organization were the best of that weight class. And then obviously they proved it once they got to the UFC. But there are some people who won't be aware of that. The level of competition that he was facing is equivalent to all these guys. I dare argue that may be better than some of the early fights. Now, when you get to the later fights, when you're talking about when you're up there with the Conor McGregors and the Chad Mendes and all these guys, certainly that's equivalent, right? The guys Volk is facing now. But there's a Korean Zombie on his resume, better than Volk's Korean Zombie, in my opinion, or a diminished product. There's a Chad Mendes on the resume, better than the versions of Chad Mendes that the McGregor or Volk faced. And so when you look at the quality of opposition, it was not Jose Aldo's fault that he was so far, so head and shoulders above everybody at that time that you would diminish it. I would argue that that made it look like maybe opposition was not up to snuff, when in reality, these were the best available guys, and he was just that good at the time. He was a revolutionary type guy. The like leg kick heavy game was not a part of like the meta of MMA at that time, and he's bringing it in and introducing it and really breaking guys down with that. He created a style, or like popularized, I should say, maybe not created, but popularized a style that so many fighters have used since, and so many fighters continue to use. That sprawl heavy, like, do not take me down. I'm a better striker. I'm gonna chew up your legs. There's so many guys who implement that even to this day. He kind of popularized that and made that such a winning formula. That era, that streak of 9 title defenses, to me, including the wins up into getting the title, in my opinion as well, was the best of anybody's resume.
Orlando Perez,
with it.
Chris Mickle, Cub Swanson knocked all of them out in the first round, and then that
violently, viciously,
and then that got him the title shot against Mike Brown in WEC. And then
who at the time, I think it's important to set the table. Like, Mike Brown was the guy at that time. Like, this is not like, it's hard because of these names.
He's an underdog in that
They're
fight.
not popular. Yes, like these were the guys. These were the top of the top, and so it's hard because people don't remember these names. Mike Brown now has gone on to become like an incredible coach.
Yeah.
But these were the guys, the top guys.
Yeah, I mean, he truly was an underdog, and that started off his championship reign in WC that reigned for over 6 years.
6 years.
All the way up until the Conor McGregor fight.
Undefeated
6 years.
for, what did we say, 10?
Yeah, undefeated for 10 years, championship reign for 6 years where he had like 10 title fights across WEC and the UFC.
So respectfully, I think Volk is fantastic. I still am on Jose Aldo's corner, despite, as you said, it is hard. It is hard to overlook the losses to Holloway, the loss to Volk, and the loss to Conor McGregor, because these are the other peers in the conversation. But I would argue that the peaks, the success, the greatness, the run still has him above. And so I submit Jose Aldo.
I mean, you make an unbelievably compelling argument to the point where I think in my head, it really is the two-horse race between Jose Aldo and Volk, with Max very closely behind them, and then it's Conor and Ilya with these incredible short-lived runs after that. I don't think I would call anyone wrong for having Volk or Jose Aldo. I think you can just make such a compelling case for both of these. Before we look at, here's Volk's right here. 5 title defenses now. Obviously, Saturday didn't count because he was getting the belt back. Title fight records 7-3. 2 of those losses coming at lightweight to Islam Makhachev. Records versus the GOATs, 3 obviously. Max Holloway, 1. Jose Aldo gives him the 4 wins, and then the 1 loss being to Ilia Topuria, and then his UFC record at featherweight is 13-1. I think for me, the biggest thing is we have now seen, I understand he is 36 years old. He is not quite done yet. There's still a resume to be written here, and there is the potential for him to win 1 or 2 more at featherweight. And then secondly...
Would you be surprised if it was more? Would you be surprised if it was like 5 more?
What is your number to where you start having Jose Aldo
9.
be surpassed?
The conversation starts at 9.
9 title defenses?
Title defenses.
Okay. So he would have to win 4. He would have to go on a 4-fight winning streak.
Here's where I'll caveat that. Quality of opposition matters to me in this conversation.
Yeah.
If these upcoming title defenses come against guys that I think are, like, I'll be honest, a Korean Zombie title defense
is not that impressive at this point.
Didn't do it for me. Like, that was not, like, I don't look at that the same as I look at the guys that Jose Aldo was facing during his title run.
Yeah.
And so it depends. But at 9, I'm probably ready to put it to bed, if I'm being honest. But as you start approaching that, I'm willing to have the combo.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very difficult conversation to have. Jose Aldo is an 0-4 against the other 3 guys. I think it's a no-brainer. But I think the fact that he got finished by Max Holloway twice, finished by Conor McGregor, and lost to Alexander Volkanovski is the only thing that keeps him from being like there is no question about who is the GOAT of this division.
Agreed with you. It would be a very if he didn't have those losses, like let's say like Ilya or Conor, he just left and went up. If he left after getting knocked out by Conor McGregor, I don't think there'd even be a debate. He
also did. He fought an interim title fight after that against Frankie Edgar,
and won it,
and was able to bounce back. It wasn't like he was completely dead.
Frankie Edgar, an all-time great. Like Jose Aldo's resume, Jose Aldo suffers from the rest of his career. He suffers from when you look at what happened post Conor McGregor, it's like mixed results. It's not great. It wasn't the dominance that he had beforehand, and so he suffers from that. Right? There's still stories to be written by Ilia Topuria if he ever comes back to featherweight. Max is kind of on the end, and we see, and he ends up in 3rd. Volk,
Max also seems adamant that like I'm done at 145. I think the book has been written.
I've long said Max should not be done at 45. I think it's finally like everything's been accomplished.
Yeah.
It's good to go, but. Jose still holds that spot for me despite the losses because of what he was able to do. But I'm recognizing that Volkanovski has a true shot to dethrone him. I am on the train of I think this guy is still very much in that race. I don't think it's insurmountable, and he's getting closer than ever.
All right, I think here's my final verdict. The title run of Jose Aldo is obviously more impressive than that of Volk's. But I think the latter half of Jose Aldo's featherweight is what dings him and has me having Volk by like the narrowest of margins. And like I'm not faulting anyone who says
I think it's
Aldo.
fair. I think
I'm not
fair.
faulting anyone that says Aldo.
Okay, now the other question, and we'll end on this. So I'm Aldo, you're Volk. I like you. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think you can make a compelling case for others. There's arguments to detract from each, and there's arguments to support each. Who is the best featherweight of all time?
At their peak?
Just best. Who was the best fighter that has come through featherweight?
I think because I haven't seen, because it's nothing but darkness and projections and everything like that, but what we have seen has been so incredible. What we have seen from Ilia Topuria is truly like an amazing thing. Will I be saying that in 5 years once we see how his career pans out? Maybe I'm just like no brainer, but like to knock out Alexander Volkanovski and then follow it up a few months later by knocking out Max Holloway is two of the most incredible back-to-back wins I've ever seen.
I'm discounting Ilia Topuria from my conversation because there is still things to be written.
Yeah.
For my money, it's actually Volk.
Okay.
So I've got Aldo as the GOAT, but if you ask me who's the best guy I've seen compete at featherweight, it's Volk. He has everything. He has the IQ. He's got the strategy. Even this fight, right? He comes in and slugs with Diego, but intentionally so, right? To close that distance, to be in the pocket, to not be fading backwards and get his chin caught, to just stand in there with Diego so he's not on the end of something. You think about the knockouts that he suffered, he's backing out of exchanges and he gets caught the same way everybody kind of tends to get caught. But with Diego, he's standing there, feet down, in the pocket, winging them, gets clipped the one time, but he's not backing away unprotected and getting knocked out. Strategic. A guy who, like, Diego's supposed to be this terror, and he comes in there and slugs with him in close distance because it's the right strategy. He's incredible, man. The brain combined with the skills, combined with the accomplishments. For me, he is the best I've seen, but Jose Aldo has the greatest resume.
Also, with everything you're saying right now, it cannot be discredited that he became the first guy ever at 35 and older, lightweight or under, to win a title.
I agree.
No one had done it. I don't know the exact number. I've seen 14, 15, 16, whatever the number may be.
18,
as high as 18. Like if you're counting interims, if you're counting this and that, no one had ever done it. That's all that matters. He is the oldest champion at 155 or under in UFC history, and I do know the record at welterweight or below was like 3-30.
Yeah, Bilal was one of them, right?
Bilal was one. Tyron Woodley. They all happened at welterweight, but it's just like once you get to this age at these lower weight classes, it just becomes incredibly difficult to compete at the highest level. And it just can't be understated enough. What Volk did on Saturday is insanely impressive.
He's phenomenal, man. He is truly the best featherweight I've seen. Like the combination of things, as you've said, to be in there at this age and be able to perform at that level against a guy in Diego who is like the Ilia. Now, he's not Ilia. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing them in terms of, I think the ceiling on Ilia is significantly higher. But in terms of being this young guy who's supposed to come in there and the youth and the hunger is supposed to be the thing that's the differentiating factor, Volk looked just as hungry to get that title back as he did. In fact, maybe hungrier. And you can't discount that. Like he to my amateur eyes, I have not seen a featherweight better than Volk.
I'm sure the comments, I'm sure the chat is going to be very reasonable about this topic. I'm sure no one's going to have any strong opinions on anything like that.
What a fucking division featherweight is for the champions.
It's so incredible. I actually, like, it makes me even happier that Volk won on Saturday just because it's just like this five, like this big five of just like it's such an insane featherweight lineage. It really is great. Wild. Let's transition to the rest of UFC 314 and let's go to the 305. Miami, Dade County, to bring in my boy Tony Kaladiud, a good friend of mine. Actually, look at him in the studio. We're not on Zoom in a car right now.
Damn, Tony got some guns on him.
First time meeting Rick. Tony, is this true?
Funny story. UFC 288 Newark, Henry Cejudo versus Aljo. I sat next to New York Rick in the press, right next to the octagon. Sat next to New York Rick. He came in very late and left very early. I just want to let that be known. He came in and he was like, I'm too big for this. Like, let me take a couple pictures. Bam, I'm out of here. Didn't see Bilal beat Gilbert Burns. I don't even think he stayed for the main event, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there.
This is right off the top. We're going with the slander.
I mean, Rick with the big time.
No, it was I was there the whole night. It was that a good event? I don't remember. It was a little bit ho-hum. I mean, right. by your estimation, I wasn't even there.
What was that 288? You said,
yeah,
Aljo versus
Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo.
Yeah. But welcome to the show. Great to.
You're featherweight GOAT, Tony. I know we were just having the conversation.
Featherweight GOAT for me. Just right off the top, I'm probably gonna say Volk.
Okay.
Like his. And I was listening to you guys earlier talking about Jose Aldo and like his run and how he has these 9 title defenses and how everything's so incredible. But like, man, just eyes, right? Just watching what Volk was able to do against Max Holloway, against guys like Yuri Rodriguez. I know Korean Zombie was kind of old in the tooth at that point, but like the way that he was just able to dominate everybody and just made it look so easy, to me, that's like, we talk about Max and how Max is such a great boxer, probably one of the best boxers in the UFC, and like Volk just pieced him up 3 times, right? Like it just looked too easy for Volk. And of course, he got run in, he ran into Islam, he ran into Ilia Topuria, who I love, by the way. He just got hit by 2 goats. And then now he's back on track against another killer in Diego Lopez. Like, I love Volk.
Yeah, I'm with you. And as I said, like the best I've seen to the point you're making, like when he's in there against those guys that are supposed to beat him or the next guy, Holloway gets the 3rd crack. To me, that was the best I've seen. But I'm still going to stay on Aldo Corner.
All right, Tony. So this weekend you were in the building, at least for the prelims. You are down in Miami, UFC 314. I actually had to give Frankie your number earlier, and he's just like, what's his number? I was like, 305. That's how it starts out, baby. Shout out to the 305. I know you had to go and do your own watch party for the main card, but the prelims, what did you make of the fights? I don't know if the atmosphere was that great in the building. I know the Miami people like to show up fashionably late, but what did you make of UFC 314 on Saturday?
314 was electric, man. The last 2 or 3 cards that the UFC's done in Miami have been incredible, right? Just the atmosphere. We talk about Miami being a late arriving crowd to not only hoops, but also UFC. It's very true. And with the press passes, I'm probably not going to say this super out loud, but with the press passes, people who have really expensive seats, they don't get there till the main card. So you can walk all the way down, almost into the octagon, and sit down in $1,000 seats that nobody's going to be in for a couple of hours. So I was able to watch a couple of fights very up close. Even though there was not that many people in the arena, maybe say, I wouldn't even say half full. I'd say maybe a quarter full. There was still a lot of pop. I think the Dumas Oleksiejczuk fight was fun. I think people started really getting into it at that point. But overall, I left during the Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan fight, and at that point, the place was rocking. So everything the UFC is able to do at Miami at the Kaseya Center, it rocks, dude. Like there's no atmosphere like it. I've been to a couple shows, obviously MSG special, but MSG Newark. I think I'm going to do a couple in Vegas at T-Mobile in June. But man, Miami kicks ass.
Yeah, dude, they stack up those cards. They know what they're doing. We just got your thoughts on Volk. Obviously, a wildly impressive performance. Co-main event, though. Paddy Pimblett blows the doors off of Michael Chandler. What'd you think of that?
I was surprised, right? And so, caveat: me and my co-host Lewis, we went to MSG when that was when Michael Chandler fought Dustin Poirier at MSG, and we ended up meeting Michael Chandler's parents. Got to know the parents, hung out with the parents for 30, 45 minutes while they were waiting for Mike to finish up with whatever he was doing backstage. I've talked to Mike a couple times. So I have this thing where I'm like, dude, Michael Chandler's my boy. Like I met his parents, Lou met his parents. Like this is our guy, right? And I didn't think that Paddy was as good as he put out on Saturday, because we know that Paddy has been fed some guys that, again, are a little bit older, right? Last couple of fights, Tony Ferguson, 40. Bobby King Green, 38. Michael Chandler, 38. It was like, all right, at some point, he's been fighting guys that haven't been in their primes, and he's going to get caught by somebody. And maybe a big overhand right by Michael Chandler does it. But, dude, what I saw from Paddy, I was just like, wow. Obviously, we had a little parlay-ski with the boys. I had threw Michael Chandler in there as part of my thing. I was like, maybe if we got a puncher's chance, a big overhand right chance that Michael Chandler can land something, like we can be in the money. And then that he goes out and gets absolutely destroyed. Like you said, the door's blown off. And I guess, kicking it back to you guys, like, I guess I didn't realize how good Paddy was, or is it just that he's leveling up during every fight?
I was just going to ask you the same thing. So in my estimation, I think it's a combination of those two things. I think it's improvement. He certainly looks better to my eye. Like, I think he has made some drastic improvements. I think if this version of Paddy Pimblett was facing like a Jared Gordon today, I think he wins that fight pretty easily. But I also think it's just the same thing that happens with Conor McGregor, the same thing that happens with Ilia Topuria, the same thing that happens with a lot of guys. When you tell people you're the best, ahead of actually being the best, people want to say no. And they want you to be lesser than. They want to look down on you. They want to prevent you from being so boisterous and being so confident. And it makes people underrate you because you want it not to be true. You want him not to be the best because he's not there yet. But inevitably what happens is we as fans are like, nah, he's not. And then you start convincing yourself that he's actually not good at all. And all of a sudden you're in a position where you're surprised when Paddy Pimblett is actually a good fighter. And admittedly, I said it on the show yesterday, got to raise my hand. I was one of those people. I did not believe that Paddy would be here right now. I did not believe that he would be a peer to a Michael Chandler. I did not believe that he would be in the top of the UFC's lightweight division. And he made some real improvements and also showed that he is as good as he believed he was. Beyond that, the grappling game has always been there, right? We've seen that even in the wins that were like less than impressive, the guy can grapple his ass off. The guy is just a true wizard on the ground. And when he had Michael on the ground, he was able to do pretty much whatever he wanted against a guy who, in the first round, looked a little bit stronger, right, on those takedowns where he's dumping them. By the end of it, it was clear that the levels were different in terms of that ground game. And then the striking looked pretty damn good, too. So I've underrated Paddy Pimblett. Plus, I think he's made some great improvements.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same trajectory. Like, especially after the Jared Gordon, the split decision, or I guess it was a unanimous decision that obviously felt like a robbery against Jared Gordon. I think that's when people really kind of turned on Paddy and just started underrating him to the point where it's just like, we don't like this guy, so he's not that good. And now the wins that he's reeled off doesn't bother me that the combined record is 13 straight losses by these guys. It's still Michael Chandler, King Green, and who else? Tony Ferguson before that. He is starting to put it together against higher level fighters, and he is looking unbelievable when doing so. I mean, he was never really in any danger in all three of those fights, and now it's time. Like, he's top 10. Now it's time to put him in top 5. I think he's one fight away from a title at this point.
He's beating them more thoroughly than some higher... Like, Charles Oliveira was the last fight for Michael Chandler. He's beating him worse than Charles Oliveira did. King Green has not been beaten that badly in most fights. So he's doing it at a level that shows the skill that he has.
Okay, let's play matchmaker for at least like the main card and a couple of the big prelim winners. Let's stick with Paddy because I just want to throw this out there. Volkanovski, Movsar Evloev should be next. Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez, and Guadalajara. Does anyone disagree with those two?
Now, you say should. Are you saying you want it, or are you saying it should be?
I don't want it, but I think that's what should and will be next. Alex Volkanovski versus Movsar Evloev.
I think that will be next. It's not what I want, but I think it will be next.
What do you want, John
Nobody
Silva?
wants it. Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants it. But I mean,
nobody wants Evloev. Nobody.
At some point, you have to give it to him. I mean, we've seen it with Bilal, long winning streak, finally gets it, wins the belt. Magomed Ankalaev, long winning streak, finally gets the shot and gets the belt. Leon Edwards had to go through a long winning streak, wins it, finally gets the belt. Like, you just have to. You can only win so many times in the UFC before you're just going to get a title shot. And right now, from a circumstantial standpoint, it works out for Movsar. There's no one that's sticking head and shoulders above.
What I want and will not get is Ilia Topuria. I want Volk and Ilya.
Oh, Ilya and
that's
and
what
Volk
I want, but
back.
I won't get it. But that's okay.
I think you really start making a case that the GOAT debate is over if they ran him back and he beat Ilia Topuria.
He won't get that.
All right. Gone. So you say Ilya for fun. We say Movsar. Diego Lopez, Yair, and Guadalajara.
That's me.
No brainer. No brainer. Okay.
Electric. That's electric.
Paddy Pimblett then. There's fights on the table.
Okay.
Who are we giving next to Paddy Pimblett? I'll let you lead off, Tony.
So I'm looking through here. He called out Dustin. He called out Justin, and he said the posh boy Arman Tsarukyan. I don't think the UFC is gonna feed him to Arman this soon, right? Like, the weird part about the UFC and Arman is like once he got hurt, and they're like, hey, there's no guarantee that he's gonna get the title shot when he gets healthy again, which I thought was weird, right? You got Charles there too. The one I'd like to see is Paddy versus Arman. I don't think that would happen because I think that's too close to almost giving him a title shot, right? Like, the next step up is basically Islam. And I don't think he's there yet. Him versus Oliveira saying that I want to test him on the ground, I thought was a very strong call out, even more than calling Arman the posh boy. Him and Justin would be fun. I think Dustin is kind of out of the picture.
Dustin and Max, let's just take out. I am almost positive they're going to be fighting at the Smoothie King Center for a BMF belt in the summer.
So between Justin, Charles, and Armin, I want to say what I think is going to happen is Charles.
Okay.
Just because
massive fight.
Big fight.
That would be huge. And when you call it, hey, I want to take this guy on the ground and I want to see what he's worth. And it's like nobody else does. And you're the one that's going to say that you want to do it. Okay, let's see if what you want you get. Let's see if you come through. And I think, Rick, that's to your point. It's like, I'm going to call my shot and then I'm going to do it, right? If we, in the future, depending on what happens in lightweight, if Ilia Topuria takes Islam Makhachev and takes him over to Khabib and says, what's your favorite submission? And submits him with that submission. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. Because you can't continue to call your shot. You can't continue to Babe Ruth every single fight and come through, right? That's where we are with Patty. Is he going to take Charles down and submit him?
There's only one guy who's done it before, and it's Conor McGregor. There's only one guy who's been like, I'm swinging for the fences over there and hitting it out.
Or do we just give Ilia... we give Ilia to Patty, and then it's two guys Babe Ruthing every single fight that they do. And Ilia is just like, I'm going to be the first one to knock you out, Max. Everyone's like, all right, man. First one to knock out Max. First one he knocked Volk out, got the belt. Like, he says everything that he says he's going to do. Patty does the same. Then it's just like, one of you has to be wrong.
Okay.
Wow.
Here's what I expect to happen.
Okay.
I expect him to fight Justin Gaethje, and I'll tell you how I arrived at that.
All right, I love this. We're all different.
Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria is the fight that I think will ultimately get made. I don't think he will be fighting Islam. I think it will be Charles and Ilia.
Wow.
As I've forecasted for a bit now, I've kind of felt that was the fight that's going to happen. It just seems like the momentum is gone from Ilia versus Islam. I think that's going to happen. Max and Dustin, as we all said. And then I think that leaves over Armin, Justin, and Patty. And I think Patty and Gaethje will get matched up. And I think ultimately we'll end up with Armin versus somebody down in the rankings that he just ends up taking a fight against. Like potentially a Gamrot, like who's calling for it. It's a good win. It gets you back in good standing. I think that's how this
that gives Armin a title shot?
Probably, because to Tony's point, right, it doesn't really make sense that he lost this opportunity on the scale. Like, I get it. It was a blunder. One more win. Hey, I'm still that guy, especially if he dominates. You can easily sell it. Now, if Patty beats a Justin Gaethje, I think he might skip him. I think he might jump ahead in that queue. And then you've got Ilia Topuria or Charles Oliveira waiting as well. It gets crowded. But I do ultimately think it gets him back on the title path.
So I actually took Armin Tsarukyan on this one. Patty being the A side in this one. You do it another co-main on a pay-per-view. They have this posh boy beef going on. They'll sell the fight well. And then if Patty beats Armin Tsarukyan, it's just like, all right, title shot's next. You're now the number one contender. You're up next at 155.
So who does Justin, Charles fight? Who are they fighting each other?
Yeah, I guess from my point of view, I was saying Ilia Islam, Justin
so
Charles.
You're still confident on Ilia Islam?
No, not confident.
I get less and less confident every day.
The whole picture of 155, I'm not confident on.
But then who does Islam fight?
Islam waiting for this for what's going to happen in Montreal.
But I like how much? 6 months?
That's
8 months? A year? Like he's already been out for a while.
I think he'll fight Bilal as well.
Oh, you think Islam would be willing to fight Bilal?
I think he's just going to get sick of who cares if it's Bilal? I don't care if you train together. Just fight the guy. Who cares? You're not like Bilal. Respectfully, Bilal is not like the other Dagestani guys who are like in that gym. Like the team that we know. I get it that you train together. Just fight Bilal. Just fight Bilal or JDM and get that strap. The answer that I really want, though, for Paddy Pimblett, it's the obvious answer. It's Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor and Paddy Pimblett will be insane box office.
I just can't believe that will happen. I can't like go and be like, yeah, that'll happen because I just don't think it will.
Paddy called him out for picking against him. He put that bet on Michael Chandler, but then Conor McGregor came out later and softened it. He was like, "No, I should have went with my heart. I really wanted to pick Paddy, but I picked Chandler."
That is
so
box
maybe
office.
they're back friendly, but Paddy and Conor would be the one for me.
All right, so that just proves the fact that we all three had different options, and then there were other options on the table. Like Paddy Pimblett is in a fantastic situation.
Oh yeah,
he is one fight away from a title, in my opinion, and whoever the next fight is going to be, it's going to be blockbuster. So he is in a fantastic spot. Let's go to the losing side of that fight, Michael Chandler, who is in the opposite of where Paddy Pimblett is at. It's sort of like, what is next? What do we do with them?
Is anything next?
Yeah.
Does he walk away?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday on the show, Ariel mentioned Grant Dawson. I'm just like, is Michael Chandler taking a fight against Grant Dawson? Like, I just don't know. Like, I mean, we're talking about in October, he was like, I'm going to go out there, submit Charles Oliveira, and then fight Conor McGregor, and then get the belt back from Islam in the summer. Obviously,
we're not going there.
Those are dreams in a far, far away land at this point. What I came up with for next is Renato Moicano. A guy bit down the rankings, fun fight. They'd sell it, put it on a pay-per-view, 3 fights down. It's a fun time for all.
Tony, what do you got?
I again, as being a Chandler fan, it feels a bit like he's cooked, right? It's a sad place to be, but when you've already fought basically everybody who's got a big name in the division and you've lost, like you start having to look down in the rankings and be like, oh, I'll take a fight against him. And that you chased, the ghost of Conor McGregor for what, a year and some change?
2 years.
That 2 years basically of your fighting prime, right? At least, even though it's been on the back end, he's definitely out of his prime now, but he chased Conor for 2 years for a massive payday that ended up never showing up. And it's like the Renato Moicano thing sounds good. Does he fight Dan Hooker again? Is Dan in too good a place? Or can we see Hooker versus...
That's not a bad show.
That's not a bad one.
Too.
I don't mind Chandler versus Hooker. Do we think Conor McGregor is off the table? Like, if Conor does come back, has the Chandler fight just become, like, irrelevant?
I don't think Conor would take it at this point.
I wonder. I don't know. I feel like Chandler's still a big name, and there's a little bit of a story there. There's probably better options for Conor. I got one. Also from Saturday night. Pitbull.
Yeah,
Pitbull
that's what I said.
Chandler.
You do the rematch?
Run the Bellator fight back in the UFC.
Yes.
I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad. He goes up to 170, America's championship between America's champs on losing streaks, him versus Colby Covington. What America's champion can get back on the winning path? I don't mind that Pitbull one. We all said Diego Lopez for Yair Rodriguez, but
Easy.
moving to that one for Pitbull, you say Michael Chandler, and I don't mind that. I don't
like
mind that
Michael
at
Chandler
all.
for that.
I think that's an exciting fight. I don't think people are clamoring for Pitbull after Saturday night. The one that I threw out for Pitbull was Aljamain Sterling.
Oh.
Former champ. Don't really know what Aljo's going to do next. I know he came out with a video listing a couple names. Brian Ortega, if he stays down at 145, potentially Arnold Allen. But I wouldn't mind Patricio Pitbull taking on Aljamain Sterling, a name sort of questionable on where he's at in the division right now. Or they just have to give Pitbull like just a lower name guy and have him work up the rankings.
Tony, what do you think? Because I have some thoughts.
The sad thing is, like, he's probably one of the greatest Bellator fighters of all time, and now he's in the UFC, like, way past his prime, and you're like, ooh, he was maybe the booking with Yair Rodriguez kind of put him on a bad island to start, because Yair is outside of the Volk fight, man. Yair's been so electric within the first 3 seconds of that fight, where Yair missed with the left hand that looked like a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
When he swung it, I was like, oh my God, where did that come from?
Yeah, speed on another level.
Yeah.
Dude, he is so fast, so quick, can kick from anywhere. He's behind you and he can kick you with like a shot over the shoulder like that.
Yeah.
And it's like that was tough for him. Could it be somebody like man. I think the Aljo thing is interesting. How about Aaron Pico?
Oh boy.
Oh, we do Bellator versus
boy.
Bellator.
That was
loser leaves town game.
PFL was trying to book that for a minute before they both left town.
Yeah.
I respectfully don't think Pitbull is in that class anymore. Like the Yair fight opened my eyes to the idea that maybe, and even an Aljamain Sterling, man, that's going to be a lot of kicks again. That's going to be a grappler who is probably better on the ground than you. Pitbull's got a great ground game, but the way he was struggling against Yair, I think Aljo is going to be able to kind of manhandle him a little bit.
I was going to say just the sheer strength of Aljamain Sterling as well.
Here's some names I came up with that I think could be competitive and still kind of like good. Like a Sadiq Youssef.
Okay, all right.
A Chepe Mariscal.
Ooh, love Chepe.
An Edson Barboza. Like these are guys that like,
would be great.
I feel like it could still be a fun fight. It's not a top ranked guy. These guys are not in the rankings, but like they're on the verge of being in the rankings. You can kind of reset and go,
right, maybe that's what he needs.
Here? Is Pitbull here? If he's not at least here, then it's like Michael Chandler is the only option, you know, at that point.
Yeah, because like I'm curious is like what they do with like a Kaya Sakura who like came in immediately, got the title shot, and like obviously wasn't on the level of Pantoja, but he hasn't been rebooked. Like it's kind of like, all right, where's the test? Where's test number 2 after these guys come in who are obviously wildly talented and wildly accomplished fighters, but they just don't live up to that top tier level in the UFC just yet? It's like, where do we put them for number 2?
Yeah, like a Chepe Mariscal, that would be a huge win for him, who's on a great run. He's one of my favorites. Or for Pitbull, it's a good reset. It's like, yo, I'm at least as good as like a top 20-ish guy, top 15-ish.
Yeah.
I can get back in there.
I can have a few fights here, make some money.
Yeah.
Say that I fought in the UFC and move on with my career. Maybe the most intriguing one, John Silva beats Bryce Mitchell, and he is on a world tour right now calling for a title shot.
Yes.
He's posting side-by-side graphics why he deserves it over Movsar Evloev. I mean, he is making his claim to the title. Overall, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we get it as being 5-0 in the UFC with a win over 13th ranked Bryce Mitchell.
So what does he get?
Lerone Murphy.
Ooh.
A guy that you have a lot of questions about, top 10. I think it would be an exciting fight because John Silva would make it one. I feel like that is where we're at with John Silva.
Tony, what do you got?
I actually love that, dude. I love that. I was surprised to see how good he looked against Bryce Mitchell. I thought Thug Nasty was going to be able to do a little bit more, especially on the ground. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to try and stand this up. And one time for the fighting nerds, by the way.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't know what they're doing over there. But
can I say something crazy here too?
They're popping.
I don't know if Caio Bajalio is gonna be the first one to fight for a title out of that gym.
John Silva might, you think?
Could even
Or
be Carlos Praches.
If he beats Gary, yeah.
Caio Bajalio is at least one more away from the title. It just felt like this whole time leading up to it, it was just like he'll be the guy that fights for the title first.
But
it could be John Silva.
It almost feels like all of them are going to fight for the title, though. That's the crazy part. Like, all these guys are rolling that.
I do keep seeing these 19-0 graphics, a little bit disrespectful to Mikael Oleksiejczuk. Secondly, 20. The Polish man representing the fighting nerds as well. All right, so I say Lerone Murphy. What say you, Tony?
John Silva. How about T City?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
How about T
I
City?
think he's going to 55, but I would love that fight if he was staying at 45.
Stayed at 45?
Unlike Mitchell, I do think we will have to test John Silva's grappling in that one. I think Brian would make him actually test his grappling in a way that Bryce Mitchell was not able to. Because even if it ends up with John Silva rocking T City, like T City's going to make him come down there and might be live for a submission. I just think the speed and the power was too much for Bryce. I like the T City one. He keeps talking about lightweight, and I think he's a lightweight, but I don't really know.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. What say you?
Okay, here's the one I want. I don't think we'll get it. Here's the one I want.
All right.
Arnold Allen.
Whoa.
Arnold Allen versus John Silva.
Scrap.
Could be sick. Could be
the
a
calmest
scrap.
man in the UFC versus the most craziest, loud, boisterous guy.
The most like low energy, amazing, like kind of like
John Silva's gonna be barking. Arnold Allen's gonna be like turn into pace. He's like,
also
it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Arnold would find it funny, which is what would make it like so great. I think Arnold's a little too high, and also if I was Arnold, like I don't know if I want those problems from a guy who's just entering the rankings. I think that would be a fantastic scrap. What I think might be more realistic is like maybe Lerone Murphy. That might still be kind of too much of a jump up. But what could be fun that's a little lower tier than that, but like still interesting, like a Giga Chikadze or a Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett could be a nice little like measuring stick for a Jean Silva where it's like, as we saw with Lerone Murphy, like if you can clear a Josh Emmett, you're really in this game, and he's so tough in a way that Jean Silva's opponents have not been able to withstand that pressure so far. He will withstand it, and he's going to be there in the 5th round. Are you able to finish him is ultimately the question. So I feel like those could be maybe realistic if they're trying to keep him. But if they're trying to fast track him, it's going to be like a Murphy or an Allen.
Let me throw one out there just for the real ball knowers. It'll never happen.
What is it?
John Silva wouldn't take it just because it'd be fighting down to an unranked guy.
Oh, what is he fighting down at?
Steve Garcia. Both on 5-fight finish streaks at featherweight. Someone's got to get finished. Someone's got to lose their winning streak.
Steve Garcia versus John Silva will be splitting an atom 100%. It's just a nuclear bomb.
I am the biggest Steve Garcia stan. I'm always down for him to get in there. The mean machine, baby. I mean, that'd be a scrap.
John Silva's looking at title shots. I don't think you want to run into Steve Garcia on the way there. That's my guess.
All right, Bryce Mitchell on the other side of that.
Yeah.
1 and 2, obviously knocked into a different universe against Josh Emmett. Gets the bounce back win against Kron Gracie, and then unfortunately loses on Saturday as well. I feel like some time off would be nice first. And then maybe Steve Garcia, get the grappling tested, put him in there with the mean machine.
I've got one for this. He came up earlier. I would love to see, and now I don't know if he takes it, but I would love to see Aljo versus Bryce Mitchell.
Aljo, Bryce Mitchell? Yeah, I don't know if Aljo takes that. Did Bryce Mitchell fall out of the top 15?
He
okay.
did.
Yeah, I don't know if Aljo's taking that.
Aljo's sitting there, what is he, like 8 now, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
It'd be hard to convince him, but the grappling, I think, would be a lot of fun. I'd rather see, I think he came up when we were talking about Pitbull. I think at least Bryce Mitchell is like previously ranked, and I think it could make more sense for an Aljo.
Yeah.
But what I might think kind of ends up is maybe like a Youssef Zalal kind of range. Like you're still going to fight somebody who's at the bottom end of the rankings. If you're Youssef Zalal, that's a little unfortunate, right? Because he's probably looking up and going, I want to make my climb now that I'm there. But you could do worse than a name like Bryce Mitchell. At least it'll be some attention. So I feel like he might end up in that range. But what I would love is to watch Bryce Mitchell and Aljamain Sterling grapple.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. What do you got for us, Tony?
I think he should take a break.
Yeah,
I think
take some time off.
There's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
if you guys have noticed, there's been a lot of stuff.
We may have heard
the Bryce Mitchell situation. Now, to be honest, like it's tough to put as much out. And again, this is the fight game, so you have to sell the card, you have to sell the fight, you have to do all those things. Even if your heart is not totally in it, your mouth still has to be in. I feel like Bryce has extended himself so far in every direction, trying to be this like pseudo intellectual from like his own, world in Arkansas, to be like, no, this is it, I know it for sure, to then getting dunked on by everybody on the planet and then saying, oh no, I'm gonna beat this guy, and then getting embarrassed the way he did. It's like we need to take a beat here, because I like Thug Nasty as a fighter. I think he's got some pluses, but the problem is right now it's the world against Bryce Mitchell, and I think he's gonna just take a break for a second.
It's a great shout. Like as you said, the tension's been diverted. I don't think he beats John Silva on any day, right? Like I think ultimately John Silva is a better fighter, but I think Bryce Mitchell is better than that performance. Mm-hmm. And as you said, like the podcast, he's on every show talking about this is how I think children should be raised, an XYZ thing. He's just not been focused on the fight game in a way that if he's locked in, I do think he can be a problem for a lot of these guys. And we've seen it. Like when he is flowing, when he's able to combine the grappling with the striking, when the striking looks adequate enough to get him into the grappling, he's quite dangerous. So yeah, maybe it is time to take a step away. But when he comes back, I think he could jump in there with like a Youssef Zalal or even some of those like guys that I mentioned, like Sadiq Youssef. Like you can get in that range.
Honestly, yeah. He actually has already fought Dan Ige. Fought him back in 2023, maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Why not?
Maybe there's a bounce back for there. I got one for Dan Ige. Nathaniel Wood. Get Nathaniel Wood a fight in the top 15. I think that would be a fantastic striking affair.
I like that one too. Yeah. I think, where is Wood right now?
He's not ranked.
He's not ranked?
Yeah, he's just sitting outside the top.
Oh,
top
wow.
15.
All right. Well, then fair enough. I like that one. Yeah, give him a shot. God, Dan Ige, man. The dude does not get enough credit for just being like a warrior. And I don't mean that in the like lamest sense, but like literally every opportunity that comes his way, ranked, unranked, short notice, full camp, bigger guy, smaller guy, it does not matter. Dan Ige takes the fight. He really is one of the gamest dudes on the planet. He deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, also like one of the best stashes in the game. A few more to matchmake here. Dom Reyes. I'm very interested to see where he goes from here. We're back in the, what did he officially get ranked? Like 8th? Light heavyweight. Dom Reyes at 8, moving up 3 rankings. How easy
is it to climb up the light heavyweight rankings? It's not hard. There's not a lot of names there.
Well, let's just put him right into a potential title eliminator. They were supposed to happen at 297 last year. It was supposed to happen at UFC Atlantic City. Carlos Ulberg.
I'm in. That's mine too.
Dom Reyes. Come on. There's a little bit of beef between them. They were supposed to fight in the past. I'm down for Carlos Ulberg.
He's like 3, right?
Yeah, he's 3.
3 right now, yeah.
You get an easy title contender in a shallow division at light heavyweight. You're almost guaranteed to get a KO between these guys. You could have it headline a fight night in a major city. I think it's a perfect fight.
What I also love, that's my answer as well. What I also love about it is it felt like Ulberg had all the momentum. Now this last fight against Jan, it kind of like stopped a little bit. It kind of slowed the train down. Reyes is the one who's like a rocket ship right now. It's a juxtaposition of where it might have been. I want Ulberg versus Reyes.
Any opinions on it?
No, all 3. Ulberg Reyes is going to be electric.
I'm not mad at like Jan Blachowicz or Rakic either.
I was going to say back up if they don't do that. If they don't want to make him jump too high and just kind of continue this ascension, would be Rakic. I think that'd be a great fight. You catch a guy on a losing streak who needs a bounce back. I think that would be good as well. Viana Jandiroba. I feel like next fight needs to be Zhang Wei Li. There is no one else at 115, but will that be the next fight for Zhang Wei Li? I think probably not, especially if Valentina wins next month in Montreal. But I think Viana needs to just wait this one out until it's for a title shot. I don't think she needs to take another fight.
100% agree.
Why go down? Like, you've proven everything. Yan Jianan was to me a very strong fight for her to take, and I was like, ooh, okay, she's fought titles before. She's had that 5-round, like, she knows what it is to be on the deep end of the pool against killers, and what she was able to do was like, oh, this isn't close, right? Jandiroba was like really, really, really good. So if you're not fighting for a title, just hold out. Why fight under? Why fight Tatiana Suarez or Andrade or Lima? It's like, for what?
For what, dude?
There's nobody else with a claim to it. She's alone right now.
1,000%.
It's her and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you look at the rankings, like, not only is she the #1 contender in it, but then, like, if you just go down it, Tatiana Suarez lost to Zhang Wei Li. She beat they've both beaten Yan Xiaonan. She beat Lemos. Lemos already got a shot at it. Jessica Andrade isn't getting a title shot. Like, it's just like, it's a no-brainer that it's Viana. It's just whether or not that'll be the next fight for Zhang Wei Li. Last one I wanted to ask you guys about, Chase Hooper.
Yeah.
Great win over Jim Miller, but I think it's time to end the Legends Tour. I have two names. He called out Tom Nolan, which I think would be great. He lost in his debut, but now he's won 3 straight. You know, he's another big guy. He's obviously not in the rankings. But the guy that I kind of want to see, Nasrat Haqparast. Sitting outside the rankings, has won 5 straight. Chase Hooper obviously on a win streak as well. I don't think that's a bad shout to get, like, A, younger guy, and B, a guy on the rise. And if he can win that one, then it's like, all right, Chase Hooper, like, we're on. It's time to start doing ranked fights.
What do you think, Tony?
First off, to go to that, I was there for that fight, and it was like, man, Chase could never really get things going against Jim F. and Miller, right? Like, did that, when you guys were watching that, you were like, ooh, I thought Chase was going to come out a little bit better, a little
credit
sharper.
To Jim. I give credit to Jim there. It's just like, he's just such a game opponent. I think the odds were disrespectful to Jim Miller. I didn't think he was going to win, but minus 1,000, man, you should be blowing the doors off these dudes, and I just didn't see that happening.
I felt that way in the first round. By the end, I was like, okay, he's thoroughly outclassed him, but I would have liked to see a finish. But I thought he outclassed him by the end.
How about a Grant Dawson?
Okay,
that's a jump. That's
a jump. But like, if we're gonna, if we think that this guy could be a ranked fighter and somebody who could be moving up in this division, give him somebody to fight, man.
All right, so two options here for Grant Dawson: either Chase Hooper or Michael Chandler.
I know which one he'd pick. I have Grant on my list as well, but I have 2 that I think make a little more sense. Unfortunately, it doesn't get us out of, like, the veteran territory, right?
Okay.
It's not. Drew Dober versus Chase Hooper.
Less of a vet than the guys he's been fighting. Like, he's not in his 40s, but older guy who is on a bad run right now.
On a bad run, but a name that, like, matters in this division against a tough guy, right? If you beat, as we've seen, if you beat Chase Hooper, it means something. And then how about King Green? I think King Green could be a fun one where the grappling's at least there enough where if Chase Hooper gets it could be either a showcase for Chase Hooper, or it could be a test for Chase Hooper where he's going to have to strike with King, and maybe it's too much too soon. So I think that could be the right kind of measuring stick. Unfortunately, though, it does just continue this, like, Chase Hooper's beating up old guys kind of narrative, you know?
I don't mind giving him a younger guy. I like my Nasrat shout. Don't mind Grant Dawson, too, but that is a jump. It is a jump.
Admittedly, it's a jump.
Either way, he continues to rise with a win. Overall, what did you give UFC 314? I can't decide if it was... Right now, I think 314, 311, and UFC Seattle are my top 3 cards of the year so far.
It's definitely been the best pay-per-view of the year.
Okay, you take it over 311.
Yeah.
I think I was just so in awe of the Intuit Dome that night that's why I ranked that one so highly.
It was pretty great.
Because the Intuit Dome.
I mean, the Intuit Dome was beautiful.
Intuit Dome's the MVP.
All right, Tony, thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate the time. I know it's busy down there in Miami. What do you got to do? You got to get to the beach? A couple Mai Tais?
Yeah, a couple Mai Tais, a couple cocktails by the pool. You know, just normal things that we do here in Miami that everybody does.
I'll see you at the next event for like 5 minutes before I leave.
Okay, Newark. Hey, the next one. I know you're not going to go to Canada, so Newark, I'll be there.
Right. Oh, you'll be in Newark. We'll take you around. We'll get you a couple bagels. Make sure to follow Tony at 10-Day Tony on Twitter. A beautiful representation for the MMA game over at Meadowlark. My man, Tony, thank you for joining, brother.
Thanks, Tony.
Appreciate it, boys. Anytime.
Be easy, man. I like
guy,
those options. Tony, the man. It's nice to bridge the gap here.
Apparently, we've met, and
you big-timed him.
I big-timed him and left.
You big-timed.
It's on brand for you.
It is on brand.
I mean, the true story is like I used to go to those events and sit there like a schlub, just chopping it up with Oscar or Pete. In fact, was Pete at that one? Pete was at one of the recent New Jersey shows. No, he was at
302.
Poirier and Islam.
Yeah, because he was here for the live show we did.
Yeah, but you just go, you sit in the back, you watch the press conferences, you do the thing.
Good shit. It's good shit. All right, last thing we got to do before we tie a bow on the UFC 314 talk. We'll recap my picks.
Let's do it.
The Parlay Pals. And shout out the big hitters. My bets.
No bets for this week, right? Because we don't have an event.
Yeah, no bets. Just WrestleMania this week.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not going to do anything on the
Do you have anything on WrestleMania?
I don't have anything yet. I might. Might take a stab at Cody Rhodes as a dog. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah, I finished down 0.21 units. It was just like all those bets essentially for nothing. It's just like, all right, it is what it is. A couple.
Is that worse than a loss? Like, is that one of those like frustrating feelings where you're just
because you like kind of sweat all night and like I got Volk to win, so like that essentially got me to even. Yeah. It is unfortunate. I mean, some bad bets in there, like Pitbull plus 3.5. You don't love to see. Nora Cornoli versus Haley Cowan. I went over 1.5. Was just way too heavy on that one. If that one goes a minute longer, I think I finish up 6 units. But it is what it is. We live to fight another day, to bet another day, and then the Parlay Pals. You guys remember that time when Frankie had a winning Parlay Pal ticket and then he changed it to Michael Chandler at the last minute? And turned it into a loser.
Dare to dream, man.
Listen, if you were watching last week and you saw us being like Marco Tulio Silva, like why aren't you taking him? And he was like, oh, I don't know, last minute change.
Important to note that those odds probably reflect Marco Tulio.
Oh,
Silva
yes, I did. I still didn't fix that. Someone on Twitter was like, Michael Chandler's not minus 360. I was like, it's clearly a typo, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And that is the proof that originally
it was literally Marco Tulio Silva.
Minus 360 to me.
We didn't show the graphic. Well, if he was minus 360 to you, then it was one of your worst bets of all time because he got beaten pillar to post. Yeah, we didn't. We had the graphic and everything ready. I thought your pick was Marco Tulio Silva, but
would have been a nice little win.
Into the show, like how am I going to disrespect?
All right.
Especially on the back of, me and you kind of like going with some close to even money picks. It would have been a nice little.
We would have been in the green. It was like plus 400 with Marco Tulio Silva instead of Chandler, but we would have been firmly in the green. It's all good, Frankie.
Should have been, whatever.
It's all good, Frankie. We all remember the Kayla Harrison pick of 2022. It's all
no
good,
regrets given. Now, what is funny is I picked Patty for the uncrowned.
Yeah.
And delivered a perfect night.
Okay, nice. Yeah, okay.
Happy
so
for you.
You had a perfect night. We had a perfect night, except you had to ruin our parlay pal. Okay.
Say that to Iron's face, man.
All right, I will if he calls in on the voice message.
I will say, Frank forever gets a pass from me for the King Green pick. Like, I just can't.
I know, even though he's picked King Green incorrectly like 4 times
There's
since
nothing
then.
to say when he picked him as like 4-1. I forgot he went back to
all right, big hitters. I got a lot to shout out. I mean,
all right.
In the pay-per-view, they always go big. First up, we go with our man Pagan, who goes at GSP 51032849.
His like phone number.
Just like a great Twitter name. Plus 1650 goes Nora Cornoli, Marco Tulio Silva, smart man by KO. Virna Jandiroba by points. Alexander Volkanovski turns $100 into $1,649.66. Shout out to him. Let's keep it rolling. Artsy, Mr. Electrocute, one of the sharpest in the game. Follow him on Twitter. Like every week, he just gives out winners. Like he is really one of the best. He sent me like 1,000 slips of how much money he won. Like he's like, it's like he does this full time. But this was his biggest parlay, plus 49.59. Chase Hooper points, which was a great call because of how big of a favorite he was. Virna by points. Dan Ige by KO. I know he was losing his shit on that featured prelim. I know like a lot of people said it was early stoppage.
It was absolutely an early.
He did not give a shit because that turned $100 into $5,059.20. So shout out to Artsy. Really, he is one of the best in the game. Let's keep it rolling.
He might have been the ref that night.
Marcus Allen. I'm tired of seeing this guy on my Twitter feed because he just hits every single week. He's like, it's too easy. I'm like, is it that easy? Because it's not that easy for me. At Marky Nude. This is an 11-leg parlay.
Holy shit.
Essentially the entire fight card, I think save for 2 fights, turns $50 into $5,906.32, like plus 11,812.
Wow.
So shout out to Marcus Allen. He's doing it. He's doing it every week. We keep it rolling. New face. Go from a constant hitter to a new one. Tommy Corrigan. He also does a 12-fight parlay plus 16,671. Turns $5 into $838. Essentially gets every single fight right. Next up, at Ruth Dog 17, Tyler, Marco Tulio Silva by KO, Dan Ige by KO, unreal call. Dominic Reyes by KO plus 4,476 turns $25 into $1,100.
Can I ask
People on
something
these
stupid?
parlays are unreal.
It's a great parlay.
Please ask.
Why is Dominic Reyes by KO plus 340, but Danny Ige by KO plus 420? Isn't there so much more value on that Reyes one? Like, didn't that seem like it was going to be a KO? Like
it felt like if he was going to win, it was going to be by KO.
Yeah, Ige should have been either like plus 800 for that, or Reyes should have been like plus 200.
Yeah.
Either way, anyway.
Great calls. Great calls. They took advantage of those lines. We keep it rolling. Dominique, TBH. I think this is a woman. You don't get too many women throwing in the big hitters, and she nailed it. 5-pick parlay plus 2,485. Ige, Silva, Rodriguez, Volk, Patty Pimblett to win by KO or decision. $84 into 2,171. Shout out to her. There's a few more. I mean, I got so many. I'm sorry if I
Hive was strong over the weekend.
dude. I'm sorry if I don't shout you out because there were so many. Next up.
I think that's it.
Oh,
Connor.
okay. All right.
Maybe verbal.
Yeah. I mean, I got Jay Singh here.
Oh, shout out to Jay Singh.
I mean, every single week plus 1936, 1,000 into 20,365. Shout out to him. Damn. If we can go in Jordan's Slack, there's one from this guy, AC the Hulk, Andrew Collins.
Got you, man. Yeah.
Anyway, he has a picture of his what is it that you love? Discord, Frank?
Oh, yeah.
He says, if you want to sprinkle on something, sprinkle on the ninja choke. He will get KO'd by Bryce if he jumps Achille. Bryce way too skilled for that. Ninja choke much stronger for his body composition and hard to roll out of. And here he is being comfortable with it. And it's pictures of Jean Silva. Jean Silva by ninja choke plus 10,000. This is from AC the Hulk, Andrew Collins, who the segment was named after at the MMA Hour. I need to bring back those graphics because he was the guy that hit the $1 into 440,000, like biggest ticket we've ever seen in the history of ever, called the whole main card by finish and round. Legend.
I think it needs to be named after him again. I think we need to reinstitute it.
Him, Jay Singh. One other one that I really wanted to give a shout out to was Nubian Bookstore.
Oh, my man.
You know him.
Oh, I know.
Marcus DeJuan Williams.
He messages me all the time. He's the man.
Sharp as sharp, baby. And he actually is from Georgia as well. But he just puts in giant wagers. $10,000 at minus 145 on Vina Jandiroba, paid out at 16,896. Shout out to him, man.
Yeah.
Sharp as sharp gets. And when he has a read, he nails it.
Yep.
So shout out to those guys. Shout out to big hitters. You guys killed it. You always do. God,
the ninja choke one.
AC the Hulk, man. He's
the
crazy.
photographic evidence, the actual showing.
He knows his shit.
Wow.
All right, that's 314. This weekend, WrestleMania. Going down in Las Vegas. WrestleMania 41. Not a big wrestling guy, but I always dive in for the big events.
Same. What's your level of excitement for this one? Like,
all right, so I watched Raw last night, and it ended with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk all in the ring, and Paul Heyman on the ground all scared, and that's how it ended. And then they have a triple threat match or whatever on Saturday. I'm pretty excited. I'm like a 7. I'm like an 8. I'm gonna tune in, and I'll always be like, man, the graphics for this are crazy. Oh, the storylines are crazy. Something crazy will happen, and I'll enjoy watching it.
I've been consuming, not the product, but I've been consuming articles. There's a preview show coming later this week from some of the writers at Uncrowned. I'm building up the excitement. I think I'm like an 8.
Rick watches wrestling.
I think
for the
I'm-
articles.
I watch
wrestling to read the
I
articles.
don't watch wrestling to read the articles.
It was a punt.
It was good. It was good.
It's gonna be sick in Allegiant Stadium. Like they always just they put on an incredible show. Like they kill it. It will be fun. Last year was like the first time I've ever like stood up in my living room when they did the John Cena and then it went dark and then the Undertaker showed up and I was like, oh fuck.
That was a crazy one. I do feel like there's a lot of like big names involved, even though last year's 40 was like they were trying to blow it out and you had the Stone Cold and the Undertaker and all this stuff. But like The Rock and Cena are involved in angles, CM Punk, Roman. Like there's a lot of huge names on this one. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm into it.
So because of that, WrestleMania this weekend, our pound for pound rankings this week is our favorite wrestlers of all time. Top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, pound for pound. Frankie, you give us the order.
Yeah, so the order is going to be me,
Okay.
then Connor Burks,
Okay, I'll go second.
and then Rick.
I feel like we've done this order the most.
I think it's always been Frank, you, me.
Oh, okay.
That's most popular. All right, Frankie, I'm excited to see what we get here. I'm excited to see what we get here. It's going to be like, number 5, Daniel Cormier. Number 4, Wyatt Hendrickson.
Wait, do those not count?
They are wrestlers.
All right, but no, real talk.
Keep the talk real,
Didn't
bro.
really follow a lot of wrestling growing up or even now. Most of my exposure to wrestling came in the mid-'90s when Midway put out a game called WrestleMania. It was an arcade game by the creators of Mortal Kombat.
Great game.
So to start us off, you'll see a couple of these are like obviously from there, but number 5 is Yokozuna.
Hell yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Oh,
Guy was a
shit.
beast. Yeah, I mean, just did a little bit of reading just to kind of keep myself up to speed of where things went after his great addition to the video game, and I mean, he did a lot. He did a lot for the entertainment, and I think this kind of thing is missed these days, and maybe we should get another big spirit like this. Coming in at number 4.
Can I just?
Oh
fun
no,
fact.
go ahead. Yeah, it's your list.
All right. Sorry. No. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Coming in at number 4 is Doink the Clown.
Okay.
0
for 2 so far on me having heard of these guys.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. You want to know who Doink the Clown is. He looks menacing, right?
So tell him who it is.
To those at home that are scared of clowns, please look away.
I was about to give you a great Yokozuna thing, but you know.
I want to hear it.
No. Say more about Doink the Clown. You said you want to know. He wants to know. Tell him. Tell
His
him
name
about
is
Doink.
Doink.
Uh-huh.
He's
What
a
else do you
clown.
know? Uh-huh.
And I think Rick has something to add.
No, I got nothing. Keep going.
So
It's your list.
Coming in at number 3 is not from WrestleMania, the game, but is someone that I did kind of grow up watching, and that's the Bushwhackers. This was a tag team, wore jack boots and like camo pants with the tank tops, and I always just thought it was amazing. They would like kind of do this crazy like slam dancing walk around the ring, and I just always thought that was entertaining. As a child, once I grew up, I kind of moved on to my number 2, which is Sting, not the singer, but the actual wrestler. This was another
All right, here we go. I have heard of Sting.
Sting. It really is the aesthetic more than anything. I'm happy to know that he still wrestles because he kind of spoke to
No, I think he's done now.
Is he
I
done
think he
now?
just recently
Damn.
retired. Yeah.
We saw him in his last match.
that stings.
Ooh,
stings.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. An Englishman in New York when we saw him, as they
Yeah.
say.
So for those that don't know, there was a time where we went to AEW where Sting was still very much an active wrestler. And I turned to Connor and said, "Did you know that this is Sting, the singer from Police?" And, you know, bless his heart, had no way of knowing that I was lying to him. Went along and was like, "Oh, is that true?" And then I had the other guys just kind of. It was funny. You had to be there, but it was a great moment. So Sting will forever be burned into my memory for that.
That was it. That was a fantastic moment, I have to say. I am obviously not that familiar with wrestling, and I'm also not familiar with the singer Sting. I could have walked right by him on the street, so I was like, no shit. He went from singing to wrestling.
To be fair to you, guys like Bad Bunny, Travis Scott, like are involved in wrestling right now.
Granted,
so it's not like
Sting
crazy.
would be wildly random. Like
Yeah,
he is.
yeah.
How old is Sting? Like
Imagine Sting
70s,
walking out
60s?
to
I
Roxanne.
think of Sting and I think of like my mom. That's like a heartthrob for my mom. Like she would see Sting singing and be like,
He's
"Oh
73
God,
years old, so it'd be wild.
he's in great shape though."
Look, with
He's
the
in great
makeup,
shape.
do we really know it's not him?
Also,
We know he's not him.
you type in Sting and it's a picture of a guitarist. Then you hit the arrow key and it's a picture of the wrestler.
There we go. and you could go back between the two, and all the only thing that changes is the makeup.
All right, who's the number one?
Number one, this is all-time favorite. I believe was in the video game, but this is actually someone that I followed before even then. It's The Undertaker.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but especially this image that I have of him is exactly how I remember The Undertaker. I don't know what era
Wow,
this
this
was.
is the image you have of him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I remember, so I had, like, a buddy that lived down the street who was big into wrestling, so I'd come over, we'd play, like, old NES wrestling games as a kid. It was insufferable when it came to wrestling. But he showed me this thing, I don't know if it was live when it was happening, or they're pre-taped. He sticks a guy in a coffin, and they had to, like, pull him out and, like, give him CPR and all that. I was like, as a child, I was mortified. I thought this would really happen, that, like, this guy snapped and, like, was trying to suffocate someone by sticking them in a coffin. So that, I get the appeal. It's not for me, you know, but, like, I get the appeal. Like, that some of that stuff, especially as children, could be really impactful on you.
It's not for me, my number one favorite wrestler. Yeah, cool. Good start.
Yeah.
Good list.
All right.
Very old school. Very old
Yeah.
school. Bushwhackers is a pull.
The chat is asking to know the Yokozuna trivia.
Well, what I was going to say, Frank, was
yeah,
did you know that he's not Japanese even though he's a sumo wrestler? He's actually Samoan. He's from the same lineage of The Rock and Roman Reigns and all those guys, but presented as this, like, Japanese sumo wrestler.
That is interesting.
But no, man, go
But
off.
no,
Frankie.
you
go
know,
off.
just shut me down next
You know,
time.
it's
all
and
good.
We'll,
To be
we'll circle
Japanese is
back
like
to
a
it.
spirit thing.
We'll
If
circle
Tom
back
Cruise
to it
taught us
later.
anything,
Yeah,
you
it's
too
okay.
could be the last samurai. Moving on.
We'll see you in
to-
HR tomorrow. All right, here we go. You know, could have done Cody Rhodes representing Georgia. Could have
That's
done
right,
Dusty
Georgia.
Rhodes representing Georgia. Big Boss Man representing Georgia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Cobb County. Unfortunately, didn't go with any of those. These are 5. I was huge into wrestling when I was a kid. Up until I was like 10, me and my brothers would watch it.
So what era is this though? Like who's like the top guys at this time? Are they going to be on the list? I'll kind of get a sense of it. Okay.
Like this was like when I talk about my brothers with it, this is like WCW days, and like we were so into it. Me and my brothers would do wrestling like on the bed
100%.
and like body slams and had like special moves. And I was the Intimidator. One of my brothers was the Seal because like his special move was just a body slam. Like we had our own names. We were big into it, but like ever since then, I like haven't really watched it.
90% of my list is because I did these moves against my friends.
Yes,
like that's my list.
it was the best. It was the best. But I start number 5, nightmarish figure, scared the shit out of me and my brothers, Kane. And I'm talking like the big red monster Kane, this Kane. Like you got the red and black mask, the full suit with the glove, scary dude. You got the fire like that with the colored contact in the eye. Like I've always had an affinity for like the wrestlers that are like scary and creepy. Bray Wyatt, I thought was really cool. Like
for sure.
guys like that. Yeah, like this is just like out of a horror movie type shit. It was
not
great.
the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee version of
No, this like scare the shit out of
Look
you.
at the fucking
yeah,
guns.
yeah,
Holy
dude,
shit.
absolutely jacked. And like when you're 8, like this is terrifying.
100%.
So yeah, shout out to Kane, legend. Representing Georgia, I did take one. Number 4, Goldberg, University of Georgia.
Oh, great.
Dog. Traps like a god. Great.
Everything.
Great for the bald brand. I mean, look at that. My dad was a big fan of Goldberg because he played Georgia football and was on the Falcons as well. Yeah, shout out to Big 95 out there, the brute, man. Billy G. Big fan of Goldberg. It was a great interview on the show just a few weeks ago. Next up, number 3. Love the way he dresses. Love the look of him. The voice, oh yeah, brother.
Oh, hell yeah.
Macho Man, Randy Savage, snap yourself into a Slim Jim. I mean, look at those guns. Look at the outfit, the sunglasses, everything like that. I was actually him for Halloween a few years ago on the show. Got that exact same. Look at me. I think I look freaking great. Yeah, shout out Macho Man, Randy Savage. Shout out to the MMA Hour as well. You know, great program. Shout out to Slim Jims. Makes me want to snap into one, honestly. We were talking about that yesterday. Might go get a Slim Jim at the break before old Ariel and Ade. Number 2, legend. Also fantastic for the bald brand. Fantastic for the beard goatee brand. I mean, all the championships in the world. Triple Crown winner. What? Stone Cold Steve Austin, baby. I mean, the beers slamming together, the jean shorts, the Austin 316. Like, he's just like the fucking man, like the epitome of cool.
100%.
Was also him for Halloween this past year, right here in this studio. Went to WWE headquarters. did the beer bash myself in the costume. This is Halloween night out inside in front of the belt in Stanford, just up the way. Shout out Stone Cold Steve Austin, legend he is. But number one, I said I like the scary guys, the freaky dudes, and I mixed with Frankie here. Number one, the bell toll, baby, the eyes rolling back in the head, the coming out of the coffin, the always showing up when you least expect them. The Undertaker, number one. I mean, like, he just doesn't get cooler than The Undertaker. Like, this is like you got the urn, like, you got legendary guys like Adesanya, like, recreating it. Like, this is what I think of. You showed him, like, in his early days with, like, a receding hairline and, like, one glove. I think of, like, this with the fire and the flame. And, like, I pulled it up yesterday, like, my brothers used to show it on like VHS, but the Inferno match with Kane.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like, you got the fire around the ring. Yeah.
The brother
Undertaker.
storyline was building all to this. What about like when he did
Like, look at that. Like, that is fucking sweet.
What about when he did the motorcycle? What about when he was like the badass guy?
Yeah, like that was cool, but like I liked when it was like that's why I got such a big pop in the living room last year when it just went dark and like I was not expecting him at all, and it's just like the dong and like it goes black and then it lights back up and then he's there and you're just like, that's the fucking guy, the Undertaker, baby.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great list. It's a great list. So far, two very good lists. Different. Yours is a little more like Attitude Era. Frank's is like 80s early. I like it. I feel like I'm going to be more close to you, but we'll see where this goes. So, number 5. I don't know if you'll know this guy, or definitely Frank won't, but there's a wrestler, or was a wrestler. He's still with us, but he doesn't wrestle anymore. His name is D'Lo Brown.
No.
And he was part of the
D'Lo
Nation
Brown.
Domination. He was a little bit of a jobber, if I'm being honest, but he held some titles. But what I loved about him,
Is that the European Championship?
yes, it is. This man had the most swag. Like
Okay,
he would
okay.
walk out and he would do like he's like shoulder popping on
Yeah,
the way to
yeah.
the ring, and he would do this head thing where he would just go like this. Like he would just like swivel his head.
Okay.
Look it up right now.
All right.
And it was the best thing ever. And his finishing move was a really nice frog splash. And he used to like pump it. He would do the pump on the frog splash. I used to do that move in the living room against all my friends. We'd lay out the cushions on the couch and have these ladder matches. I used to do the D'Lo Brown, and I would do the little head thing. D'Lo was the man. Love D'Lo Brown.
And who was
Later
the
it was
woman
found
with him
that
that
it
he
was
would walk
actually
out
a
with?
What's that?
I always see a picture of him. The only reason I recognize him with like, he's walking out with like a woman.
Oh yeah, there was that looked like who? Let me see it again. Deborah? I think that was Deborah. Let me see. I think so, but I can't tell.
That's where I
But
recognize him.
he had various valets. He was also in the Nation of Domination. He was the man. D'Lo's the man.
Okay.
All right. Number 4, a guy named Taz. So Taz, he's gone on to become like a commentator. The thing about Taz was that I love so much was his game, his wrestling was all suplexes. He was called the human suplex machine. And his game was all predicated on like, he would grab you and suplex you. That was his style. So it wasn't like he would do like, all right, he's a high flyer, he'd do this. He had one specific thing. It was like pre-Brock Lesnar. He was this guy who just suplexed everybody.
Okay.
What I loved about him also, though, was just from New York. He's from Brooklyn, I think. And I was just like, this is a New York guy with the accent, with the attitude, who just comes in and just like mashes people, suplexes them everywhere. He was in ECW for a long time. I love Taz. He's the man. I don't know, like I think he's just still doing commentary, but somebody has to let me know.
I love like the simple moves, like he comes in and suplexes
It's
everyone.
all suplexes.
Like, I can't lie, I like watching Roman Reigns like whenever he comes out, because you're just guaranteed to watch him spear like 4 or 5 people, and like you can't help but when like he just runs across and literally just shoots through another grown ass man, you're just kind of like, hell yeah, that was pretty sick.
Sometimes it really is as simple as the one move, and they do it so well, which leads me to the next one, which is a guy who had like a cool attitude, but he had this one move that he did better than anybody else, and I tried to copy it, and it was my favorite at the time, and that's Raven. He was in a lot of different storylines, but his thing was like he was like this grungy kind of rocker looking dude.
Yeah.
But he had a DDT that was just the most beautiful DDT you've ever seen. He would get people and just put them head first into the ring, and he did it better than anybody I've ever seen. It was the most beautiful thing, and that was what I would do in the living room. I'd be DDPing people like Raven, and I loved it. Shout out to Raven, legendary DDT. Now we're gonna get
Incesticide? What? insecticide?
Let the man cook, Frank.
Now we're gonna yeah. Shut up, Frank. This is my list. Now we're gonna get into like these are higher caliber. These are higher
Okay.
tier. These guys like Raven was like
These
upper,
were just your low key favorites.
but
that
like these are like low key. Like these guys were also my favorites. Again, this goes to like a lot of moves I did. I used to suplex people like Taz,
Oh, yeah.
DDT. There's a guy. He's still around actually. He's not wrestling anymore though. He's the big
tough.
boss. He's running shit. And that's one Hunter
Oh, yeah.
Hearst Helmsley, Triple H.
Shout out.
That motherfucker. Incredible moves. The pedigree is iconic. His finishing move where he grabs people's arms and then puts them face first into the mat. Incredibly iconic. We used to do it all the time amongst our friends. But also the water spit that has become iconic where he's just on the ropes and does the mist with the water. The leader alongside Shawn Michaels of D-Generation X, which was so impactful to me. I was like, I liked NWO, but I was always more into DX with the Suck It and all the stuff that they were doing. That was more in my era of watching. So DX was like generational. Loved them so much. He was incredible. He did so many funny promos. They did so many funny gimmicks. Shout out to China, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn rather. DX was definitely my faction, but I always felt like Triple H was great. He had so many like intercontinental feuds with The Rock. It was great, and I love Triple H, and now he's doing great things running WWE.
Hey, I actually got to talk to Triple H on the phone.
What'd you say?
Well, I worked for a design firm that we made like custom furniture, and we had done the WWE's like conference table a few years prior to this phone call, and then he called me up and literally introduced himself as Triple H.
He said, "What's up, man? It's Triple H."
He had this guttural voice that was just at first I was like, someone's just fucking with me, right? Then he goes on. I start taking some notes of like what he was looking for because he wanted a new desk. This is the desk. It was going to have 3 legs instead of 2, and they were each cut out of iron or steel, and it would just be 3 H's to hold up his
I love it. I love it. That's sick.
he chuckled as he was telling me what he wanted as well. It was pretty funny, but yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Really good guy.
He has, by the way.
Seems like a decent guy. The great episode of Punk.
I was gonna say he has an all-time great Punk where he thinks he ruined somebody's wedding and he's like mortified but trying to solve the situation at the same time.
Yeah, he feels so terrible, and like one of the like waiters starts like shit talking him, and he's like, "Hey man, you better back down or I'll kick your ass."
Great one. Stone Cold, also a fantastic episode of Punk. Triple H is great. I fucking love Triple H, and the pedigree has lasted the ages. He's had some great walkouts. Shout out Triple H. He's done everything in the business. Now he's actually like running the business.
All right, here we go. Number 1.
This was a no-brainer for me. Everybody else on the list I had to think about. There were some names that I could have put on there, but this one was the one. This one was fittingly the one. This one was the one that I listened to the music on the WWF's Attitude CD. I would walk around the neighborhood listening to the music. I would do the moves in the living room. One of his finishers. He has multiple finishers. I would do all the time with my friends. The jabroni beating, pie eating, trail blazing, eyebrow raising, most electrifying man in sports entertainment. The Rock. Who's just coming to whoop some candy asses? Like
I love it.
He
I was not
incredible.
expecting Rock 1 for you,
dude. I was such a mark for The Rock. Like I loved like his like crazy athleticism package with the rock bottom and the people's elbow.
I mean, me and my brothers would walk around, and anytime my mom was cooking dinner, we would always just be like, "Do you smell what my mom is cooking?"
How could you not? How could you not? He had so many catchphrases. He had so many iconic moments. He was just the epitome of cool to me at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I have his autobiography in my house somewhere. I have a signed card of The Rock. I was a mark for The Rock.
Shout out.
I loved everything he did. The promos were incredible. At that time, like he was just on top of the world. Everybody was Stone Cold. I never was a Stone Cold guy. Like I liked him. It was great. It was fun. It was entertaining. I loved watching Vince McMahon get his ass beat. But The Rock was always my guy. I was always way more Rocky over Stone Cold. And he was just the coolest. And the promos, like it was so much in my wheelhouse of like what I wanted for fighting to be, and like ultimately like what the Conor McGregor and then beyond kind of came into with the trash talk. He was just the best on the mic for my money, and so The Rock was my guy, and he's number 1.
Did any of us have, really showing our age, did any of us have anyone that debuted at 2000 or later?
I did not.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
I should have had Action Bronson, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we all should have had
shout out to
Action
the legend,
Bronson,
Action
man.
Bronson.
Legend. AEW legend Action Bronson is. Yeah, I think these are all solid lists. I felt like we all felt a bit of nostalgia as we were going through it.
The more contemporary guys are like, but even I was about to say like Randy Orton, but Randy Orton's now at this point like super veteran.
massive.
Who's like the new guy that like everybody loves? CM Punk. All my favorites are kind of like older.
I was gonna say, yeah, people love CM Punk, but he's older.
I guess Roman's newer. Roman is newer
Seth
for
Rollins,
sure.
Seth Rollins is newer for sure. Jey Uso is newer. I don't know if he's as beloved.
Nah, he's beloved, man.
Yeah,
They get
I
the
guess
Yeet
he
chant
is.
going. And
Yeah.
We are old.
He's definitely not beloved, but Logan Paul is becoming massive.
He's popular.
Yeah, it's. I think going through that, it made me more excited for Saturday and Sunday.
God, I love The Rock, man.
Shout out.
Shout out to the people's camp. The great one, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
It's great. All right, let's go to voicemail.
Voicemails.
Yeah, I love that.
Was that recorded from last week?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, and the other boys in the back. It's your favorite fight promoter, Don Davis. Building global MMA company. Easy to talk, hard to do.
By the way, this
PFL
impression is
MMA
so good.
delivered premium product, 7 years, 110 events, $225 million in fighter purses paid. And now you're going to see the debut in another organization of one of my favorite fighters, Patricio Pitbull. He is going to wipe his butt with the other promotions roster. And you know who I'm talking about. Last, I needed to address a news item from another fighter within my organization, the Professional Fighters League, who's a little unhappy and misunderstanding of the details of his contract. Corey Overtime Anderson, saying in 30 years of playing sports and competing, he's never been a year without a competition. Here we are approaching a year and a month. Well, Corey, I'm here to tell you on my Boys in the Back debut that you will be getting a fight real soon, okay? Thanks, everybody. Frank, keep the boys on their toes and respond to my message about Monster Hunter on Xbox. Thank you.
Okay, I'm fairly
thanks
certain.
for that, Don Davis.
I'm fairly certain that's the same guy who did the Michael Chandler impression.
Now, I think you need to go play a trio's Mysterious Frank, Michael Chandler, and Don Davis.
But by the way, impression was on point. We should note some of these are played. So we recorded last Thursday. Some of these are from before the event. So him predicting that Pitbull is going to wipe his ass with the UFC guys, unfortunately didn't really come to fruition.
Didn't pan out.
But what a call! What a call!
Hey, boys in the back, please, whatever you can do, get Juliana Pena back onto the Kool-Aid boys. Let's do something. Come on, guys. Let's get it done.
Okay. Before you say anything,
Oh my gosh.
that's my dad.
Oh, let's go, Mr.
love
Jackman.
I thought
Shout
I
out,
Killed
Dad.
it. He
Shout
killed it.
out, Dad.
We're trying, Mr. Jackman. We're trying, Pops. We're trying to get it done.
Juliana, please. This is me directly to camera. My own
He
dad.
keeps
my
fucking
dad,
us.
My let's not get into. My dad is begging. Please, we need you back in the mix. We love you, Juliana. Good luck in New Jersey.
We know the beef isn't with us, Juliana.
Yep.
We don't have to name names. Good luck
All
in
right.
New Jersey.
Shout out my dad.
You boys are the GOATs.
Hey, shout out.
Rick is the most sound mind in modern sports media.
Wow, Modern
True.
Sports Media.
GC, you're the man. Frank,
Also
you're
true.
mysterious. Let's give a shout out to Jordan.
Shout out to Jordan.
Shout
Man.
out
We
to
actually
Jordan.
got Josh in the back today. Jordan's out in Portugal sipping Mai Tais by the beach, but it's all right.
Appreciate the love. I agree with you.
That was very nice.
Boys, it's 24-inch Stubbs calling from Boston.
Wow,
Wanted
here
to
he
give you
is.
guys a shout out.
Legend.
And
Shout out to
the
my
pie segment was good, except for the fact that New Yorkers can't make apple pie. What are y'all doing down there? Ridiculous.
I don't know.
Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.
Nah.
Shout out to 24-inch Dubs, man.
Shout out to
Put
24-inch
Put a
Dubs.
voice with the name.
But no, go Celtics. Down with the Celtics.
Hey guys, love the pie segment. It's pretty awesome.
People like the pie.
Two things that I want to get off my chest. I
Get
really
them off.
want some more Discord support. You guys have a wonderful amount of soundboards available. You could make them available for that Discord as well. It would be fantastic.
That's you, Frankie. You
Homework
love
for
this.
Frankie.
You're the man for the job. Secondly, I love you guys. Hope you have a good one.
Love you too,
Bye-bye.
man. Love you too.
Shout out. Frankie, get on it. Discord.
We don't care.
Boys in the back, this is Logan from Wichita, Kansas, home of Derek Lewis versus Junior Dos Santos circa 2018. I'm listening to the episode right now. You said, Eric, that you got to have somebody give you a nickname. And I'm thinking, what's that nickname going to be for Eric Jackman? And it came to me immediately. You've heard of Michael the Count Bisping. Now here comes Eric the Gout Jackman. Thanks, boys.
Gotta love it.
I didn't know where he was going.
We'll take it into advisement.
That was a 10 out of 10 call. Shout out to Logan from Wichita, Kansas, home to the 2018 Fight Night, Derek Lewis versus Junior Dos Santos. That was that was golden.
By the way, funny. 30 seconds. You know, that's the sweet spot.
Name, town, love.
You want to get there.
That was beautiful. That was excellent work by you, Logan.
Yeah, shout out to Logan.
Hey, what's up, boys in the back? This is Dan from Long Island. Just wanted to say, GC, the greatest cyclist. You had it right.
You're fucking right.
Long Island's a shithole. It's indefensible.
You're fucking right, Dan.
Funny story.
Jordan's not
New
here.
York Rick. I saw you at the Action Bronson concert in Wansaw. Wanted to say what's up, but I didn't want to bother you. And, yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks.
Dan,
have a good day.
Yeah,
you should have said what's up.
Shout out to Dan for multiple reasons. Name, Long Island, shithole, greatest cycler. But you should have said what's up, man. Then this guy's head would have been so inflated because he got a shout out from Action Bronson. And then if you came up to him, it would have been like, all right, guys, no pictures here. Shout out to Wanta, too.
Shout out to Wanta. You definitely should have said what's up. I feel like I might be giving off the wrong vibes because everybody who has a story, they're like, I saw you, but they just don't want to come up. Maybe I'm just, I can be a little bit locked into my phone.
You were on one that night, for sure.
Meanwhile, I'm at the urinal and people
Frank,
are elbowing me. They're like, what's up, man?
You were there, Frank. I was not I was very relaxed. I wasn't looking
Mrs.
me
Mysterious said. She was like, do you feel like he's mad at me? Like, why was he
shut
yelling at me?
up.
I'm like, oh, it was loud.
Don't play into the gimmick. I want people to feel like they can approach me.
When's the next Bronson concert? Me and Frank went to one. You and Frank went to one.
Now we all got to go.
Yeah, now we all got to go to one.
All right, let's keep them going.
What it do, boys in the back? This is Chris calling down from California, Chowchilla Way.
Oh, wow.
Just had one question and one gripe.
Okay,
first question is, what introduced you guys to UFC? Was it a commercial on the TV? Was it through the workforce? What got you guys in love with the sport? And my one gripe is when Ariel says thumbs up to the chat. It is not thumbs up to the chat. It's thumbs up in the chat.
Okay.
This boosts algorithm, boosts engagement. Since you said it for the first episode of this show, it's gotten me wound up. But yeah, love the show. Keep doing what you're doing. Help me through the workforce, baby. Copper, come on.
Appreciate that, Chris from Cali.
Thumbs up to him.
Thumbs up in the chat.
Thumbs up to Chris from Cali, and thumbs up in the chat as well. How did I get into it? Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor. That was sort of my intro into it. What made me really fall in love was getting this job and going week in and week out, and now for years on end. I was telling you guys the other day, it's getting kind of crazy now that people are like, oh, throwback to this fight card 3 years ago today. I'm just like, fuck, I remember that fight card vividly.
What was your level when you were at ESPN and aware that ESPN had it, but
it was
not
steps. It was steps. And when I was in college, I was I would watch the huge fights, the mega fights that everyone was watching. Then when I got to ESPN and they gave us free ESPN Plus and the pay-per-views were paid for, I was like, oh, I might as well watch the pay-per-views. And then I started watching some of the bigger fight nights. But then once I got here, it was obviously every single week.
Yeah. For me, and I've told this story before, it was a VHS tape of UFC 2. Watching Royce Gracie do what he did to these, I could not in my head by that time in my life I was like, okay, these big burly dudes are the toughest dudes on the planet, and watching pro wrestling, you see these big dudes and you're like, yes, that's what the peak of fighting prowess looks like. Action movies, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's these big yoked up dudes, and then you see Royce Gracie in 2 minutes dismantle them with an armbar and you're like, holy shit. That's actually not what it is. It's there's a different thing here. There's real life here. And so from then I was hooked. Royce Gracie blew my mind. And from then it was following everything.
Sick.
Blockbuster Video.
Man, that was funny. What's going on, gentlemen? Fellas, My name is Tim, calling from Lincoln Square, New York City.
Oh, shout out.
First and foremost, I just wanted to thank y'all. My grandfather had just passed recently.
Sorry to hear that,
about 2
Tim.
days ago in Puerto Rico, and listening to the show just has, it's kept me going and, gives me something to do while I'm working. And, I appreciate the positive energy you guys bring. And also, one of my good homegirls, she works at Petey's Pies too, so she appreciates y'all going there and showing love to Petey's Pies. Honestly, I don't even have any questions. Just wanted to show love and show the gratitude, for you guys doing your thing. And, that's pretty much it, man. Salute boys in the back. Salute Frank. Salute Andy. And I forgot the other guy's name, but salute him.
Jordan, Josh,
and
we forget
everyone
it too.
that makes this show possible. Peace.
Damn, Tim.
Brings a tear.
On multiple accounts, dude. Appreciate the fuck out of you. Thank you for listening, man. It really does mean a lot. Messages like that are like hard to wrap your head around. Like you say thank you, we say thank you, man. We really appreciate that, and sorry that you're having to go through that, man. I really am. I know that's not easy.
Yeah, condolences to your family, and as Connor said, like that being you saying that like this is helping you get through. Those messages help us get through and make us want to keep doing this stuff. So. Yeah, can't thank you enough, and condolences to your family.
What's up, y'all? This is Junior calling in from Houston, Texas.
Oh, yeah, Junior.
Shout out to the whole Uncount team. Shout out to some of the OGs from the MMA Hour. Crypto Joe, Corporate Alex, Moderator Lewis. Shout out Rick for being the man of the people.
That's a real fan.
I say I can't believe in the pound-for-pound Mexican food, pan dulce didn't make it. You got your conchas, you got your marranitos,
Oh, this guy
etc.
knows his shit.
Come on, Andy. Let them know. Los Latinos. Also, shout out Ariel. People are afraid to do one job interviews. I can't imagine what it's like to do hundreds of them in a year. But yeah, everybody, keep up the good work. We all appreciate y'all, and we'll see you at the top.
See you at the fucking top, baby. Shout out to H-Town.
Yeah.
That man knew ball when it came to Mexican food.
Andy, what about those recommendations?
You
Did we like that?
The pan dulce, yeah.
Sounds
You
like,
guys.
sounds like he
messed up.
still's got it on in his pocket.
Hey, no, listen to the whole thing. All right.
I thought there was something more coming, but
Same.
What happened? So while this is playing out, Josh turns to me and he says, "Did you take a quesadilla and the pie pound for pound and not the Mexican one?" And I was like, I have the headphones on. I'm like, Josh, you're gonna need to say that again. He's like, "Did you take the quesadilla and the pie pound for pound and not the Mexican one?"
Did you really do that?
And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I did." He was like, "That's fucking nasty, Frank."
That really
and then
is.
while
That's
that's
nasty
happening, you
work by
guys
you,
are like,
Frankie.
"I think you left it on in his pocket." I'm like, Jesus.
It did sound like it was still on in his pocket.
I'd love to say Josh has been here maybe a total of 5 times, and he already knows.
Yeah, he already knows Frank has the
It's like,
worst
oh,
list.
You're in the middle of this? No, mother. Like, I love it. All right.
What's up, boys in the back? It's Mo Lester from Houston, Texas. My question is,
Shout
in
out
a
to
zombie
H-Town.
apocalypse, are you going to be the type to bring people into your camp or turn people away? Shout out On Air Jordan. Shout out GC. Shout out Mysterious Frank. Rick, you're not getting in the camp, buddy.
Wow, you're
in
in
the
the
camp.
zombie
He's
camp,
he's
bro.
killing me.
Give
Man.
people that impression that you don't like them.
I guess I give off.
Where did they
standoffish
get
vibe.
that idea from, Rick?
I don't know. I'm such a nice, friendly guy.
I want to say that I would let people in, but man, zombie apocalypse is going to be hard to trust people.
I'm a loner.
Yeah.
Me, my family. I'm not relying on anybody else. Nobody relies on me. That's it.
Seen too many zombie movies where people get selfish. They try to become the leaders, blah, blah, blah.
I have a hot take about the zombie apocalypse.
Tell me.
There's
Rip
nothing
it.
to worry about because, like, look, zombies move slowly, so all you have to do is run a little fast. So they're going to go for, like, the slowest and the weakest, right? And where's the place for that? The hospital. People who are, like, in comas or just, like, or diseased. So they end up turning them into zombies, but they can't go anywhere because they're, like, paraplegics, all this sort of thing. So we're fine.
That's great, Frank. So what happens when you run out of resources?
They die off like any other species.
No, you. When you run out of resources.
I'm not going to run out, dog.
Oh, all right, dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a hole in your plan, Frank.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick out of Portland, Oregon. I had a question for you. If you could go back and attend any UFC event in the past live, which one would it be and why? All right, keep up the good work. Love the show.
Whew, man, that's tough. UFC 205? First one in Madison Square Garden, double champ status for McGregor.
I was there. It was quite
that would be
special.
a legendary one to be at. UFC 300 would have been pretty sick to be at. Seeing like some pretty iconic moments. UFC 229 would have been wild. Conor and Habib. I think
For
those
me,
are my
it probably
top
wouldn't
three.
be UFC. It'd probably be Pride. I would have wanted to go to like Japan and see like Crow Cop versus Fedor or something like
That
that.
would be badass.
Or one of the Vanderlei versus Rampages or just something from Pride. It would probably be a Pride event. I mean, UFC 1 would be cool knowing what it ultimately turned into, but it would probably be a Pride event.
Hey, voice in the back. Sorry, Mike Chandler.
Oh,
he's back.
I was going to call win or lose and find ourselves here today.
Yeah, we're sorry to hear it, Mike.
Wanted to call from backstage, but they had to immediately begin stitching up my face. I'll say this one time was an early stoppage. I had a lot more left to give, but it's in the past now. Not feeling so great. Got a big box of Cram Nutrition, PB&J's, headed to Connor. Cram Nutrition is the official
I appreciate that,
PB&J
Mike.
Power Slap. And Frank, it's been good to connect on Xbox. Going to be there a lot more as I heal up these injuries and work my way towards the next move. There's no doubt going to be the Conor McGregor fight. I think it's obvious. I'll try and keep it short. Top 5 pound-for-pound memes. Looking at a lot of memes myself these days. Keep the spirits up. See you at the top.
See you at the top, Mike.
So he's suggesting top 5 pound-for-pound memes. The formula of impression plus Frank add me on Xbox or Discord is very strong.
Do you even have an Xbox, Frank?
No, I don't. I'm a PC, PlayStation 5, Super Nintendo kind of guy. So
everything but Xbox.
Incredible. Shout out, Mike, for
Hey, what up, boys in the back? It's your boy AJ coming from the great state of Connecticut. My question for you guys this week is, what are your thoughts on the UFC maybe cross-training with FBI agents? Seems pretty interesting.
I'm here for it. That would be dope.
No, they are doing it, Frank.
Oh, they are doing it. I thought
really?
this was just a concept.
No, I think like Colby recently was doing something, but like Cash Patel has said like they're bringing people like UFC fighters in
Just to
to
get
like
better at
train.
hand-to-hand combat.
Can you imagine?
I don't think it's a bad idea.
An FBI agent like squaring off with we'll just say they're a criminal, and then like they just go ahead and go for the takedown.
Yeah, blast a double leg.
Honestly, though, that is what prevents like situations from escalating, so that everybody's just not
I'm just
like
thinking of a guy in a
immediately
suit,
on the trigger.
just like all of a sudden,
yeah,
or pulls guard or whatever.
I think any law enforcement or anybody in like positions like that having more and more experience in what actual like fights are like is good.
Yeah,
it's always a good thing.
GC, Rick, and Frankie, how you boys doing?
How you doing,
This
brother?
is your cousin Georgie from Baltimore.
Georgie from
Do
Baltimore.
me a favor.
Let's go.
Light up the smoke with me so I can talk to you fellas.
He gives us a moment.
I think I heard a lighter
Now, here's
flick.
the thing. Our good friend Mikey
He was giving us a
unfortunately didn't get the win against Patty. So we all want to know what's next for him.
Okay.
I've got an idea. It's a little out there.
Lay it on
but
us,
it could
Georgie.
work. So follow along with me.
I'm following, brother.
Everybody and the mother wants to see McGregor fight again, and he owes that fight to Mikey. Dana will soon have TKO boxing up and running, and he's going to need some big superstars to market his brand. So here's what we're going to do. Fill up the fight card with boxers that Dana wants to promote for his new league, and at the top of the card, main event of the evening, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler in a boxing match for TKO boxing. But here's the kicker. They take the gloves off and do it bare knuckle.
Okay.
Let me know if you boys think Dana would be into it. Oh, and Deshaun Brady, I would be afraid to race my boy JC too if I was you.
You're fucking right. You're right. Georgie from Baltimore. Shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to happen, but I'm there.
Nor would they take the gloves off. But yeah,
also,
that
like,
could
would
be
the
fun.
guy that owns that is a owner in BKFC do bare knuckle not on BKFC? No. I love the thinking outside the box though, Georgie.
Yeah. By the way, we're going through these.
Oh no, we're done with them. Yeah.
Oh, that was it.
That was all of them.
415 sub
Oh.
BITB if you want to get featured next week.
This
Those
is
are
it.
actually incredibly fun. A nice way to hear from the people and engage with the audience. I really like those a lot.
Yeah, drop us a line. Again, name, location, 30 seconds unless you're really cooking. And everybody's going to think they're really cooking, so now we're in for 5-minute calls. Drop us a line. We want to hear from you. Messages like the guy Tim, like incredible stuff. So thank you so much.
And if any of you want to play Monster Hunter with Michael Chandler and I,
And Don Davis.
Find us
They'll
on
need a
Discord.
fourth.
We'll make it happen.
No, yeah, Don Davis
you'll need a
was the
fourth.
Monster
It's you,
Hunter.
I
Michael.
don't know how I feel about Don Davis.
No, you, Michael Chandler, and Don Davis. All right. We got any super chats, Frankie?
Damn right we do.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Starting off with Sleeto.
Shout out,
Sleeto.
legend.
I know you can't put it as harshly as this, but can you talk about Yair's delusional interview? Saying Diego hasn't earned the chance to fight him, but that Yair thinks he deserves the next title shot.
I don't think.
I don't think it's delusion, but I do agree with you that I think Diego, obviously coming off of a title shot, is in the same league as Yair, and I think it's just such a no-brainer. I think sometimes fighters get so fixed on the title shot that they diminish anyone that isn't the title shot.
But also, like, I don't think it's delusion as much as promotion. It's like he doesn't want to give Diego the time of day, so he's doing the I'm ignoring you. He knows Diego's good. He knows it's not like, I don't think he's like actually does not believe Diego's of that caliber. He's just doing the thing. He's doing the thing that when Patty goes, oh, I forgot Ilia Topuria exists. No, you didn't forget Ilia Topuria exists. Ilia Topuria is like doing what you wish you could do at this moment. He's living a dream that you hope to live. So like, he's just doing that thing, and I don't think it's delusion. Nor do I think like Yair's that far from a title shot. Like, would I be shocked if he got the next one? Probably not. Like, again, I don't think anybody is clamoring for that Movsar fight, even though he does deserve it. So I don't think it's delusional, but he's promoting. He's cutting promos.
So this next one, I think, has some context to it. It was while you guys were talking about the future of the UFC deal. So Mesa Bickner wrote in, plus the money, something like B-Dub spends on pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's additional. There's so many levers for them to pull. There's the money that the bars and restaurants and them have to pay to serve up pay-per-views. There's a lot that would go into potentially taking it from that model. So yeah, there's a lot of money on the table for the UFC coming up.
So 24-inch Dubs writes in,
Shout out, he gave us a call earlier.
Yeah, he did. I want Tubi and Roku channel fight nights at Apex. Think you might be joking.
Nah, I mean they bring in some content, but I don't think they have the money to pay what would be required for UFC. Shout out Tubi though.
AJ333, yo, what's up? Big fan of the show. 2 questions.
$20. Shout out, AJ.
What do y'all think of Chase Hooper versus Chandler next? And who do y'all got in the open weight boxing match between Neo, Inoue, and DDP?
I don't know anything about Inoue versus DDP.
No, there's nothing to it. He's literally asking in an open weight boxing match, does Inoue beat DDP? That's it. That's the entire question. Yeah, Inoue fucking pounds DDP's face to dust.
Yeah, which is crazy because of the size differential, but the skills that Inoue has in a boxing match are insane. Like you can't take down someone in a boxing match. And then Chase Hooper versus Michael Chandler, I feel like that's a little too much for Chase Hooper. But I guess it would continue his veteran tour.
I hate it because like the options available to Chase Hooper continue to be guys like that make sense, but I don't want him to get this reputation as this guy who's just like cleaning up the bones, the remnants of these fighters. But it's not fair to him, nor is it fair to them. But I don't hate it at the same time. Like if you're Michael Chandler though, what do you gain from fighting Chase Hooper? Like what's the upside on that? There's really no upside.
John Cross writes, UFC should go fully independent and restructure the Fight Pass app. They can have Slap on there, partner with random networks for some fight nights, etc. The ESPN app sucks and always has.
Thank you for the $10 super chat. And while I agree that ESPN Plus app is ass, it really is just shit week after week. They're not going to go independent. They're not going to do Fight Pass. They're going to get one of these major distributors, and like almost anything is better than the ESPN app.
There was a time when WWE shifted to their own network, the WWE network, and when UFC created Fight Pass, that it made sense to do it on your own. It made sense because you could go direct to consumer and charge what you wanted. the pendulum has swung back to the point where broadcast rights are so sought after, and these companies are willing to pay such sums. It is way more profitable for them to do that, to take those deals with the broadcast partners, than to do it on their own. So no, that's not going to happen because there's so much money in the marketplace for what they're selling. It might be a better user experience, but it's just not happening. And yeah, a lot of people complain about the ESPN Plus app. I honestly have never really had problems with it. I've avoided that so far, but you're not alone in that. A lot of people have said that app sucks.
You never noticed, like, while we're doing the watch party, I have to refresh
every like fight. You have to do it. Yeah, I mean, I use ESPN.
It's always at like the most inopportune time. Like, oh, he's winded up. Is that going to be a punch? And then all of a sudden, you're waiting on me. This next one I actually agree with, and is to my point earlier, but Casey Chuntz writes, I don't care where the fights end up, just make it one location, or the rights, I guess. I'm not paying for 3 services and potential $80 pay-per-view on top of that. Shout out to the bots.
Shout out to the bots. Shout out to Casey Chuntz. Appreciate the $5. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I hope if they do it in multiple places, we get rid of the pay-per-views. I think that makes it easier, but I think it will be in at least 2 places.
I agree. I think it will unfortunately be split up for consumers out there, so it won't be as easy.
JC writes, final prediction for the main event of International Fight Week.
I'm gonna say Hamza versus DDP.
Retweet. And I think when we did our exercise, that was what I wanted and picked. So
I said John Jones Tom Aspinall. I couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah, I think Hamza DDP. It makes all the sense in the world. Especially with Islam pretty much saying, I'm going to wait to see what happens with Bilal. It's the only thing you can do. Now, if you have problems with Hamzat getting in or even, agreeing to terms on that fight, you have to figure out a new solution. But Hamzat DDP for now.
Benny Avina writes, I just can't see Ilya being in the GOAT combo. I don't think he has enough memorable moments like the others, and a key point being that he didn't clean out the division. A lot of work was left on the table.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the $10, Benny, but I do agree with you. I think his name needs to be mentioned just because of what he accomplished, beating Holloway and Volkanovski by knockout in such insane fashion. But I'm with you. I don't think he's the featherweight GOAT.
I think there are only 2 who can even make the claim, and that is Aldo and Volkanovski.
And I think it's Holloway.
Holloway's right on the outside.
Yeah.
Guys, this next one is unbelievable.
Okay.
Someone sent us essentially $99.99.
Essentially, or did?
They did.
Wow.
Giancarlo Riso writes, GC, give your boy, also a fellow GC, a shout out on my parlay. GC picks 8-leggers. It was plus $24.79.
Wow. Shout out to Giancarlo Riso. Thank you so much for the $100 donation. That's incredible. Well, here's the thing. I saw this, and shout out to a GC. Here's the winnings. We're barely taking a little bit off the top here.
Oh my God.
$125. And if this is not him, I believe this is him. GC Picks. He sent this to me, and this is around. I think this would be plus $24.79, like he said. Yair Rodriguez, Chase Hooper, Alexander Volkanovski, Oleg Saychuk, Julian Erosa, Dominic Reyes with the dog call, Marco Tulio Silva, and Nora Connolly. $125 to win $3,098. So shout out to you, Giancarlo Riso.
He's just giving us a little tip on that one.
Congratulations. Appreciate the super chat, man.
Wow.
And GC to GC, you're killing it, brother.
Shout out GC.
And Big Ol' Double D writes in, amazing pound for pound list, Serious Frank. I appreciate all of those. Helwani could kick rocks, but the rest of you are great.
That's from one Don Davis. Thanks for the $5 dono, Don. We appreciate that, man. We appreciate that. Anything else?
Was that it?
Keto Key.
Oh.
Hey.
Top 5 list. Kurt Angle, CM Punk, Randy Orton,
Jesus. Your reading comprehension is that of a first grader.
They say that it'll get fixed.
Randy Orton, Io Sky, R-Truth.
R-Truth.
Kurt Angle is number 1. Love it.
People love Kurt Angle.
I
miss the era where he became like the amazing, like serious wrestler for other promotions and stuff. I only remember him as like the gimmick, like the You Suck and just like in all the dumbest skits. Like that was the era that I was watching and remember him in. But then post that, he became this like truly 5-star match type guy that everybody respects and loves. So yeah, that would make sense for like a guy who would have like an Io Sky on the list to also have a Kurt Angle. So shout out.
And finishing off the pint here, none don't exist. Right. Hey, Rick, you watched ECW too, eh? Good stuff.
Oh yeah,
too, buddy.
I was.
There's no 2 in there, Frank.
Well,
I'm
look,
starting to
what is
worry
good stuff,
about
me, buddy.
Good stuff, me buddy. Thanks, non don't
That's what they
exist.
meant.
It's Canadian dollars. Come on, man.
In terms of preferences at the time, like when I was like really my most hardcore about it, I was actually ECW, WCW, WWF. I was like, wow. I lived
WWF
for ECW.
last.
WWF last. Then when ECW kind of just like ultimately fell off and it wasn't being like shown anymore, WWF became more of the primary. WCW evaporated right when they lost the war. But in the prime, ECW was sick. It was like this hardcore shit that they do now. It was that. It was like the most extreme stuff that they were doing. So I really liked it.
Shout out ECW.
Shout out Paul Heyman.
Oh, what is this? We have one more.
One last one.
You're gonna just bear with us here.
Is it from the beautiful Spencer LeBute, who's in the chat right now?
Why won't the UFC come back to Chicago?
We did read your donation, Spencer LeBute. Thank you for sending that in, $5. I wish we knew, man. I wish we knew, because that's going to be the most electric fight night in UFC history if they ever come back, because people have been clamoring for this.
Unless I'm wrong, though. Didn't Big Onk recently say like something where he was like alluding to coming to Chicago?
Yeah.
He was talking about like deep dish and hooping with the Bulls mascot and stuff. So maybe you're gonna get it at some point soon. Maybe I know
that would mean it's a pay-per-view.
Nobody. In fact, earlier we had one of the voicemails was somebody saying like, "Why don't we have a Chicago event?" Chicago fans are.
As long as I've been working this job, people have been like, "When are we going back to Chicago?"
The last one was at Cejudo. Marais? Who was it?
It's been a minute, bro.
But I was there for that, and I don't remember who it was, but
June 8th, 2019, Cejudo Marais.
Yeah.
Get back to the Windy City, baby.
They'll come back. All
right, nothing else, Frankie?
A Bilal event in Chicago would make a lot of sense. Obviously, he's fighting in May, so I don't know if that's the one, but some point in the future, it would make a lot of sense.
Spencer LeBute saying it's Whitaker Romero is the last one, but I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe the last pay-per-view there? 225? Oh, is that the same one? June 9th, 2018? I know, I'm just looking at the chat, Frank.
All right.
Just engaging with the audience. Cross in the chat, really shilling for ESPN Plus. He's like, man, it's not bad. Use it with the Firefox browser. It's
Shout
great.
out to whichever ESPN employee has been tasked with being in the chat there.
Spencer LeBute is amazed that his last name got read. LeBute. There you go, man. All right. I think that'll do it. UFC 314 recap, pound for pound. Yeah. It's all in the books.
GOAT debate settled.
GOAT debate kind of settled. We'll see what happens for the rest of Volkanovski's career. Tomorrow, watch The Crack, a special Wednesday edition with P.T. Carroll. Thursday, a throwback interview day with Helwani. And then Friday, a WrestleMania preview from our uncrowned team. And then we're back on Monday, back to your regularly scheduled programming. We will see you then. Thank you for watching. See you next week.